Pardon me. Hey guys, hope we're all doing well. Oh shit. Phone, no, don't do the thing which you are doing. Please, please don't do the thing which you are doing. Okay, let's get on with it. Where is it? Boom. Hope we're all doing well. Hope we are all doing well. I'm just going to chuck something in the chat a moment. Because I don't think they've actually been claimed yet. Not what I wanted. I'm going to try and find the things that I was going to showcase. No, I did not get anybody. Don't think so anyway. Let's have a look. Okay. Yeah, they still haven't been claimed, so... If anyone wants a free month of Patreon, and if anyone wants free month of, this is in relation to my conversation with Callum Barker that's coming up. It says no, locals promo. There we are. There's a nice little locals promo on there as well. Patreon expiring at noon tomorrow. Locals, it runs on Eastern time, so I have absolutely no idea when it's going to expire, but it will. The date that it's going to expire, I would imagine it will be close of day. Just quickly looking it up now. I think it's close of day tomorrow. Epping says no. Yeah, it just says expires tomorrow. So I'm not sure when that was going to expire, but if you want to get 1 month free inside the locals area, then the membership area, then please do. Obviously, I'll always reiterate the request that if you would be so kind, even to just become a free member of locals, don't have to pay for it or anything like that. I believe when you hit certain follower milestones, even in the free area, although I could be wrong, that's when you unlock additional upload capacities and resolutions and stuff like that. So what I wanted to go over today, main things I wanted to go over today, was some stuff from the conversation I had with Kathryn Watkins. I just might be on my other phone, so I might have to go get that in a moment. Some additional things which Kathryn sent me that I meant to actually showcase in the conversation itself, but I believe that I forgot to do so. So if anybody wants to go and watch that conversation as well. By the way, if you can follow me on Rumble, please do follow me on Rumble as well. And please do download it because it's increasingly becoming more and more of a viable alternative to YouTube. And a lot less censorious. And it's also just debuted shorts as well, which is nice and interesting. It's added the feature of shorts, which is a really, really nice, well-needed update, in my opinion. Right, where is the full conversation? There it is. So my conversation with Kathryn Watkins can be found there. Oh, I think my microphone keeps cutting out. And it's also obviously on YouTube and all the other platforms as well. Also, anybody watching this and anybody who might be watching this like in the future, if you could drop a happy birthday in the chat, I'd greatly appreciate it. It's a very special girlie's birthday today. It's a very, very special girlie's birthday today. Me too. Hey, come here. Come here, you, because it's your birthday, isn't it? Hey, Joe, come here. Do you want to say hello? Up. 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 Yeah, Mum. Up, come here. Come say hi. Come on, up. Come here. She don't want to jump up now. She's gone shy for some reason. Hey, come here, you. Bailey. She's gone to get one of her birthday presents. Right, up. Show everybody your new birthday present. Yeah. Oh, well. Pardon me. Right, up. Come here. Come here. Come here. This is the one time I'm letting you. You love to do it all the times which I don't let you, and then when I let you, when I incentivize it, you don't want to. Right, up. Up. You get up. Oh, well, never mind. Never mind. Thank you, Inquisitor. Thank you ever so much. Got a very, very cute video of her devouring her birthday cake earlier. One of the, you know, those dog-friendly cakes and stuff like that they do. Thank you ever so much, Ian. Greatly appreciate you, my friend. Greatly appreciate all the birthday wishes. I'm glad that she knows that she is loved. And we got, she's currently wearing a different one, but we've got, this little thing is what she usually wears. Let me just see if it's coming up on the camera. Well, this is what she usually has on. It's my birthday. So she's not wearing that at the moment. But yeah, how are we all doing? Hope we're all doing well. Hope we're all having a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, night, wherever we are. Where to start? Where to start, really? It can be difficult sometimes to find out where, or to think of where to start, I suppose. See if I can find a video to play. Oh, actually, I'll see if I can find one of my clips to play, actually, which is, it's this clip on here, or do I want to... Because, Inquisitor, you've been with me when we went through the other videos that Kath had done when we went through the research stream, when we were up on the research stream. Dog-friendly cakes, yeah, pets at home do them. Yeah, pets at home do them and stuff like that. Yeah, it's like a little, I don't know what the hell it's made out of, but yeah, it has like dog-friendly. I'll see if I can find the packaging, actually. Bear with me. She thinks, I can't hear myself a moment. She thinks that there's another one in there, which is why she started coming investigating again. But yeah, this is what it, just quickly tap over. This is what this is the box it came in. So it's a doggy celebration barking bakery cake thing. So I think it's more in focus here. Yeah, because I've set my focus on my webcam. So yeah, can't remember exactly how much it was, but yeah, handmade celebration cake for dogs. So there we go. Nice little treat that she had. Nice little treat that she had. Is her IQ higher than my border collie? Probably not. Probably not. Let's say, yeah. Let's, yeah, she's not. She hasn't got a low IQ because she's devious. She's mischievous. But she's certainly not the sharpest tool in the shed. Yes, I'm talking about you. Yes, I'm talking about you. But yeah, so probably not. Probably not. Right. What's he looking at? Oh, nice. This is pretty cool. Kathryn's put some of the shorts that I sent her on her website, which is really, really good to see. One thing I wanted to showcase, though, if I just see, did I save it on this one or did I save it? Here we are. Speaking of being mischievous, she decided she's going to nick one of my girlfriend's beanies and run about and use it as a chew toy to get some attention. So that's what I mean. Not the most intelligent, but certainly manipulative and mischievous. And I know I will be in the doghouse if I don't go get it, so I will go get it in just a moment. Where is it? There we are. Right, so here's, let me go to media. Media, Kathryn sent it here. Yeah, this is what I wanted to send. So if it'll be in WhatsApp. Okay. Because I know that sometimes my phone saves things in weird folders. Here we go. Oh, see, it's decided not to. Oh, for God's sake. Yeah, this is annoying. Okay, I'm just being here. Where's it to? Just trying to find. I know they're in the WhatsApp chat that me and Kathryn had, but for some reason they're not. Okay, might have to go back and re-download them. Let me see. Can I save that? Okay. Save that. I should have been more prepared, really, shouldn't I? If you put things in the chat, I will get back to them as soon as I can. Okay. Now if I, at the same time as I go grab a cable to upload some things to my computer so I can share them, I will go get my girlfriend's I'll go get my girlfriend's beanie. That cake was just like it looked like a sort of like a what do you call it, just like a normal sponge chocolate cake, if you will, is what it looked like. It was just more like a sponge, but yeah, no, it wasn't anything special. It had like a nice little bone shape on the top of it. It was just like a nice little cute thing. And I did actually get a doggy beer as well. Apparently a beer that's safe for dogs. It doesn't even smell anything like beer. It smells absolutely rank, and no wonder why she didn't drink it. It's absolutely disgusting. Border collies are smart AF. My sister's one could open doors. They are. Oh, I was going to say the one. I don't think she's cracked the doors yet. Although sometimes she has, because I'm recording upstairs sometimes, and she will, like, FBI open up, poof, open the door. You know what I mean? She does do that. So yeah, right. Whilst you guys do that, I will quickly, I won't bother changing the screen. You'll probably just see me walking past. I need to just go get a cable and get the beanie off my dog. So yeah, I will be back. Uno momento. You dick. Absolute nincompoop she is. I don't know about you guys. I'm trying to debut some of the like old style like insults and jabs as well. What was it? Somebody called somebody in my comment section recently called I can't remember exactly who it was, but the target of that video, and ended up calling him a spunk goblin, which was quite funny. I think it was yeah, it was this one. Was it this one? Oh no, it was the LBC anchor. It was an LBC anchor. I was like, I need to use that more. That's a funny insult. Oh, you better not be going looking for anything else. Yeah, that's right. Hey, you've had your cake. You can have your food in a bit. Just because it's your birthday don't mean you get away with everything. Right. Now, let's plug my cable in. So the additional things I wanted to showcase from my conversation with Kathryn, I can't remember the exact context, come to think of it. She's moved on to... Oh, she's moved on to paper. Nope, no, nope. I'm not cleaning that up. Nah. Jesus Christ. God. Thinks she can get away with everything. Like I'm recording in a bloody barn. Right. Are you quite done? You done? Seen dogs drink real beers. Wow, I've never seen that before. Never quite seen that before. My sister literally had to put bolts on all the doors she wanted to keep the dog out of. I was saying the door upstairs, I don't even think it has a hinge on it at the moment. It's something which I've just forgot to put on because I've never needed to put one on there. And yeah, she just comes in like FBI open up on times. And doesn't take any decorum with the door or whatever. Ends up smashing into the back of my desk. And I'm like, thanks, pal. Right. So uploading these. Is it in here? Don't know if it's going to be in here. No, not here. It's the thing, when you open up your phone on your computer, there's so many different bloody things in there, and I never know what bloody folder my phone or my computer has decided to put things into. What about this? Ah, here we go. Found them. Okay, if I bring them in here, and I think Joe sent me as well some things from the Warwick demo today, which I think would be quite interesting to go over. Looked like there was a brief scuffle, I think, between lefties and a lot of the ethnats that were there. Obviously, Patriotic Alternative were the ones sort of organising and leading it, as far as I know. I think Steve was either meant to or did give a speech. I can't find any footage of it at the moment. Mark Collette spoke. Hugh Anthony, I think, gave a bit of a speech as well. There was a photo of all of them. There was Steve, there was Mark, there was Laura, and there was Hugh in one of the photos. So it'd be quite interesting to go through some of that. But I've seen the footage where there was a fight broke out and there was a lot of scuffles with police. Classic thing where, you know, usually, as far as I see it anyway, the left will agitate, and then because they know that the police will take their side 9.9 times out of 10, they'll get away with it when all the right-wingers usually do is just defend themselves a lot of the time, which obviously you should be able to. But yeah, it's sad to see those things break out because it's an easy optical victory. You know, it's an easy optical victory because, again, it's like cry bullies, if you will, when you see those things, because then the left can just point and go, oh, look, then they're getting violent, they're violent Nazis, all this and that. When it's like, you know, the bully pushing you, and then when you fight back, it's like, oh my God, look how violent he is, he's a danger to society. It's like, get over yourself, man. You know, it's a classic thing. You know, push, because they know that they've got the propaganda machine behind them, right? Why oftentimes they'll go and instigate these things when nothing ever would have happened. Nothing ever would have happened otherwise. You see a lot of the protests that, you know, have happened more for right-wing causes. A lot of the times they leave the place cleaner than when they found it. You know what I mean? Because they have a stake in it. They have a stake in it, and it's their community that they want to keep tidy. That's the whole reason why they're protesting, right? Because they don't like the way that things are. So, these are the things I wanted to bring up. So, let me open this little slideshow. I can't remember... Cry bullying, yes, exactly. I can't remember the exact context we were talking about this. Bailey, you just can't leave anything alone, can you? She decided to get a bit of cardboard off of a delivery that we've had today now. She can't leave anything alone. This is the life of, you know, a podcaster / streamer in the valleys, apparently. I think this is stuff that Kathryn herself went and found. And it is a book, I believe, that is targeted at 4 years and under, if I'm not mistaken, or kids around 4 years. Speaking of like the indoctrination that we get. And I'll just play this short a bit quick as well. It's a short which I put up on YouTube and all my other platforms, which is a very, very important one. It's one of the ones that I think YouTube throttled. YouTube, I think, seems to be throttling me a lot at the moment with regards to engagement. Like, I published a string of shorts, and like 3 shorts that I published in a row, the viewership continuously went down, and it hasn't even matched like one of the shorts that does like relatively okay. You know, it took about a day for the one where I published today about like Marlon West, with his testimony about testimony in the rape gang inquiry, to hit even just over 500,000 views, nearly 600 views at time of recording. And it's just like, just seems to be, again, classic thing of YouTube throttling, it seems. And usually it's like, for example, the one which has 20 views at the moment is talking about how they celebrated Eid, right, which has a very good view to like ratio. But again, YouTube doesn't want to seem to be promoting that, for obvious reasons. But this is the short in question, which I'll bring up on screen now, which I want to play before I play this next bit, because I think it's quite important. For some reason as well, when I put it up on YouTube, the shorts quality goes massively down. It's ridiculous. But go back to OBS a minute. Just watch this short a moment, and it'll give you an idea of some of the things that we'll be looking at in a moment with some of the things that are in children's literature.
Now, in that, she actually safeguarded a whole class, a whole school. Their parents are none the wiser, but she managed to do it by pointing it out.
It's kind of like a Pavlovian conditioning kind of thing. They do like Pavlov's dog. Is that essentially what we're talking about?
There was even an email in there where obviously Mum had been saying she'd been given the legalities. She was taking them directly from the case law, so it was completely legal. And they were saying things like, "Oh, just tell Mum this," to basically shut her up. And this came from the government. This was right. Anyway, this was going back and forth for a long time. As I'm aware, she's the only one in the UK, or Wales, I think, definitely, who is able to see. She's court orders to see the resources before they're taught in the classroom. Now, in that, she actually safeguarded a whole class, a whole school. Their parents are none the wiser, but she managed to do it by pointing it out. So I'll give you an example. So he was, I think, maybe 6 at the time, and they had like an alpha.
Context here, which I think is important. The kid that she's talking about, was about 5, maybe 6, heavily disabled, and has to feed through a straw, has to feed through a tube even, because he literally just won't eat food, right? We're talking about the reason that she wanted to pull him out of these lessons was because it wasn't going to be appropriate for him. He was on I think they call it an individual learning plan, or like an ILP or IDP, individual development plan, or whatever it is. It's a very, very specific case going on here.
A for apple, B for ball, C for whatever, S for secret. And she was like, why would you? Because you could have S for sandcastle, S, we're talking about little kids. S for sugar. The one that you go to. We're talking about little children here, and they were talking about good secrets and bad secret. Now, this is where the little subtle things come in, where it's so dangerous, because from an abuse point of view, more than 90% of it is the grooming process. It's not violent, right? Especially at first. So telling a small child that they are actually good secrets is a groomer's paradise, because you could, from a groomer's point of view, this is a good secret.
It's literally what they
do.
What they use.
This is their modus operandi. They use these things and they're teaching them in school.
So that's a little bit of the content. That's not even the full short. You can go and watch the full short if you wanted to. It's her birthday, let her eat cardboard. But I gotta clean it up, man. I gotta clean it up. And she's doing it on the rug as well, so it gets into the rug, and then the Hoover's not gonna get it, you know what I mean? And I gotta go like literally picking through bits of it to try and get it up out of the rug. So alright, I'll put myself, alright, you've convinced me, you've twisted my arm. And she's really, really cute. She's really, really cute. So I'll let her do it this one time, provided she doesn't eat any of it, and I'm not going to be seeing weird cardboard coming out in a dump when I take her out later. £600 a week in a uniform to contribute to the demise of civilization that made an advanced world. Yep, absolutely. So these like the school teachers and stuff like that. We're talking about like resources in the classroom, right? And why parents might want to see them beforehand, right? It leads us into what things I wanted to share with you now, which is, again, what I forgot to put in post in the conversation itself. I think this is either resources which have been found in schools or at least in like libraries and stuff like that. Check some of these things out now, because this is, let me bring this here. The reason why I think this is targeted at 4 years old, because there's literally a 4 in the image, right? This is some of the other things that Kathryn has discovered and stuff like that, right? So you've got here 2 kids celebrating what appears to be a 4-year-old's birthday party. It says some babies grow into different genders. They should be into a different gender than the one that the grown-ups called them. There are lots of different genders that people grow into. Right, so see why this would be classed as what? A good secret, right? And obviously there's no secret that really any school teacher, any faculty, whatever, should be having with the children that the parents don't know about, right? It's one of the things that, Matt Walsh, for example, comments a lot when he's talking about the American school system. There's no reason that a school teacher or whatever should have a secret with his kid or anyone else's kid for any reason, right? For any reason whatsoever. There's no such thing as good secrets with regards to this, right? This is exactly what we talked about with Kathryn. It's a groomer's paradise. But then there's other things which she sent me as well. So I'll just have a quick scroll through. This is another one. The lowdown on anal sex is apparently in a kid's book. So I'll just zoom in a little bit. It says, everyone has an anus. It's located in a sensitive part of the body, so touching the skin around the anus can be a huge turn-on for people of any gender. You generally want to get started on this kind of sex play after a soapy shower so that the area is extremely clean. Now, I do not know if this is part of the same book, nor do I know what the hell is going on with this person's nose here. Not sure if you can see it, ladies and gentlemen. What the hell is going on here? Right here. What the hell is this? Could they have not... Surely, if you're going to try and make this, like... I don't want to say attractive, right? But trying to make it appealing to the eye, surely you get a better artist. Surely you get a better artist. There's been lots of times with anal that it didn't feel right and it hurt too much and I had to call stop. It's the kind of thing you do not want to force, and there's a bottle of lube over here. This is, this is the kind of stuff, as far as I'm aware, that, we're talking about. You see, I believe it's Kathryn is kind of holding this book here. So I'm not sure if this come from a school, if this come from like a library and stuff like that. But there's more. It says here, when a baby is born, grown-ups might say it's a girl if their body has a vagina, or it's a boy if their body has a penis. Sometimes grown-ups aren't sure, but they choose the words girl or boy anyway. It would obviously be very, very conclusive. You can't go against this dogma nowadays in many ways, because you could be accused of violating a child's sexual and reproductive rights, they may say, which, yes, Wales is a country where children have quote-unquote sexual and reproductive rights, but parents don't have parental rights to opt out of this stuff without a good reason, usually only religious exemptions, and possibly, I think there's, again, like the IDP, for example, if your child is on like an individual development program or something like that. Obviously, the vast majority of people are not going to fall into that. And if the school thinks, which I talked about with Kathryn as well, if the school thinks that you're going to do it just like you're going to claim religious exemption just to get out of it, it's not actually something which you take very seriously, then they could, again, veto that religious exemption. So it's the one thing I can see, right? When you have education like this, some people are girls, some people are boys, some people are neither, some people are both, right? Which how can you be one and negative one? Let's say, how can you be something and it's opposite, right? It's complementary opposite. It's like saying, how can you be A and not A, right? At the same time or whatever. It literally cannot happen, right? You have certain subsets of people, right, that fit in between because of medical conditions and so on. And they usually don't like their conditions being used to funnel this propaganda onto children. Right? They usually don't like that, and they don't like their genuine conditions, which they never asked for, right? And had to make the best of life with, being used by people that don't have them for victimhood points, and to then often, and she's now got another sock being used to push political ideologies onto children which they don't agree with, right? And then there's another one here, the last one, I think. It's okay to wonder, am I a girl, am I a boy, am I both, am I neither? Concepts which, if anything, right, children are not going to have the mental faculties to try and get their heads around anyway, which is exactly why they target children with these things. Adults have hard times, you know, because it's designed to be confusing. Because this whole ideology is designed to be confusing. So then if you have even the most innocent confusion and say something which quote unquote according to these radicals you're not supposed to say, well, they can use all of the standard labels, you're transphobic, you're committing trans genocide, all of this stuff, to push you down into a box where they want, and they have control over you, because then you'd be scared of all of these names being called all of these different labels. Which is why no matter what, right, you don't have to agree with everybody on the other side of the political spectrum that's opposed to this, right, on other views like immigration and stuff like that, but you can't be scared of labels at this point. You can't be scared of labels at this point. You can't be scared of labels like, you know, racist and all of this stuff, because it's being used to coerce and control, ultimately. It's just being used to coerce and control. So, yeah, it's absolutely disgusting. But this is stuff that I meant to add in post that I forgot to add in post, right? And that I wanted to make sure that I went over in a post show, because I thought it was important to show this, right? This was an example that Kathryn had showed me that I thought was really, really important to go over. It's normalization, demonic face. I know there's literally no need. That is it's a forced face. Teach them how babies are made. Teach them how bodies work. They don't need to be teaching how to have good sex. Yeah, exactly. And I didn't even see a set of genitals inside of a biology textbook till I got to like year 8. You know, till I was like, I don't know, how old had I been in year 8? Because I was the second youngest in the year. So either way, however old I would have been, like 11 or 12, right? So again, it's gotten so much worse since then. This is one of the things that I think it was like my generation, people around my age, right? Right after we would have like left comprehensive school, right, or secondary school, or I think it would be the equivalent of like middle school or high school in the US, I don't know. Right around that age, you know, is like right after we left, sort of circa around sort of 2015, I guess, was when it sort of went massively down into this. It like exponentially increased. You know, like COVID was like the litmus test, and everything since then seems to have just been so quick, how quick society deteriorated from COVID, right? It was kind of like that in the school system, from what I understand. And had that bit of a conversation with Nicola Lund as well, who's an ex-school teacher, being like, when you were like teaching and stuff like that, how did you notice any of this stuff? Did you notice any of like the politicization of it? And she couldn't really sort of recall a lot of the politicization, maybe more so around like the climate change and all stuff like that, which obviously before it was called global warming. Then obviously we later found out that we were going through a cooling period, so then they had to change it to climate change. You know, they all changed the name to fit the narrative. And yeah, she said it wasn't anything like that sort of that I noticed. You know what I mean? That's what she said. So just really, really scary. Just really, really scary. And that's the thing. I can attest that, you know, beyond the secondary school level, I've seen it for myself. I've seen the kind of literature that they have in the library, stuff like that. It's littered with the kind of anti-racism, you know, intersectional Marxism, or all of that kind of literature, right? It's got all of that sprinkled in there. The LGBTQ stuff, Ibram X. Kendi's How to Be an Anti-Racist, and all of that stuff. That's standard fare nowadays. And I would imagine that it's probably in younger areas as well. You know what I mean? Like in the secondary school and the primary schools. So I can't attest to that personally, but the ideological indoctrination runs deep. So I wouldn't be surprised if that, you know, you go into, like, maybe you're watching this, you have children, for example, you go into their library, God knows what you'd find. You know, they probably try and squirrel it away and try and make it quite hard to find. But then when like kids will have a lesson in the library, then they'll again show them where that area is, so they can always go and get it if they want to go and read that. You know what I mean? And probably make that a focal point. But it's kind of like, yeah, they'll show the children one thing, but they won't show the adults. The adult, like the parent comes in being like, oh, I want to see like the library or whatever, and they'll show them like around the library, but they'll try and probably avoid that section because they know what they're doing. I don't know. I'm hypothesizing, you know, spitballing, but I thought that was really, really important to talk about as well, because I covered as well another video, which I believe I blurred it out on YouTube, but I'll see if I can play it in the Rumble one, because in the Rumble one I didn't censor it. This is where is it? Here it is. This is an example from America. This is an example from America, which I thought would be important to go over. This is about a month ago, and it was right after, I believe, they voted to criminalize, or I think it was criminalize, these procedures for minors and stuff like that, quote unquote, gender reassignment for minors. And after this, then it was another video which I found on X. Beth Bourne, I believe her name is, was in front of either the school board or something like that to highlight some disturbing things. I think this was in I think they call it like a young adult book or whatever it is, right? But again, same kinds of things. And I think America, it's a whole different, kettle of fish, right? It's just a whole different kettle of fish. I'm not sure why the Rumble thing has gone really weird at the moment. Rumble has decided to go really weird with its thing. Ah, there we go. Okay, here we go. I'll play this video a minute, and yeah, some of the kind of stuff that's in there. Kathryn, I believe, because I spoke to her about this as well, said that this was kind of tame, if I'm not mistaken, compared to some of the things that she's seen. Oh, hang on. If I'm not mistaken, the audio's not working. Hold on. Oh, yep, sorry. Right, it should be working now.
It's a YA book. So I've made a packet for each board member. If there are kids in this room, I suggest you leave right now. Let's look at page 76 for an example of the type of gender cult ideology in the book. So this imagery, it says, depending on what hormones you take while
I'll move myself out the way. This is why I censored this bit from YouTube, but it's on stream, so maybe it'll affect monetization or something like that. I don't know. But I'll bring this up on here so you can see it properly. And it says in the book on the page, I can't quite read it, but she'll read it out. And I said, before we focus on the baby-making organs, let's go over the secondary sex characteristics. Depending on which hormones you're exposed to as you grow, your body develops differently. Generally, this starts in the to show up in your teenage years as your body decides that it's time to fill you to the brim with hormones. Just look at the imagery, man. Just look at the imagery. It's just
you're growing up, you can become a man, you can see, with full breasts and a penis and a scrotum, or you can be a woman here with
oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Double mastectomy scars. The timer. Thank you. Double mastectomy scars and full body hair. Let's go on to this page. You can look in your packet. This page here talks about butt play. It says, and don't forget, everybody has a butt. After the train has left the station, so to speak, and you've had a chance to wash or use a douche back there, you can have an ass load of fun with a healthy dose of lube. So circle your butthole with your finger, pausing anytime it feels extra good. Just dip the tip into your anus, and when it's ready, it'll come in. You can.
I'll just quickly rewind it so that you can see that graphic again. I'll bring it up on full screen. It's awful, man. There's no words to describe it. Like, this apparently a young adult book. Apparently like I don't know, maybe teens or whatever, which already is horrendous enough. But this could very easily, you never know if like an older sibling, for example, takes it home and just leaves it on the bed because they were reading it or whatever with a negligent parent, and then a younger sibling comes in and is reading this. It's incentivizing them to use butt plugs and seemingly how to, I believe the correct term is, self-stimulate is the correct term. The term we're supposed to use now. It's absolutely disgusting.
Had a chance to wash or use a douche back there, you can have an ass load of fun with a healthy dose of lube. So circle your butthole with your finger, pausing anytime it feels extra good. Just dip the tip into your anus, and when it's ready, it'll come in. You can even dig deeper with butt plugs or any object. Just make sure it has a flare base. Otherwise, your hungry hiney can gobble it up, and the only way to get it out is by going to the hospital. So suggesting kids put foreign objects in their anus. Let's go on to this page here. This is page 176 in the children's book here.
Zach, can you imagine seeing that in school? Yeah, I know the class would be chaos. They'd probably be having a great old laugh at it, to be fair. But then obviously the teachers would probably try and bring them all down with hate crimes, right? That's probably what they try and do. It's really, really depressing, man. Like if they wanted to just leave this lesson, you know, there's a good chance that they could end up suffering penalties themselves, going far beyond the remit of the school. It's absolutely horrendous. Like, you know, mistake the government especially, because obviously the government is, you know, essentially running the schools and dictating the syllabus essentially. If it's a state school, it's it's pushing this hard and forcefully. No puns intended. No puns intended. What's that? I'm just trying to look in the chat now. That's how you get. So you get freaky Frenchmen with World War One shells up their bums. Yeah, exactly. The wee wee. But I saw your World War One joke. They reminded me of some of the potholes in the roads. Because anybody else been experiencing that recently? Paul Fernie. If you saw Josh Fernie, who I sat down with a little while ago, second time. He was stuck on the side of the road for like 2-3 hours, whatever it was yesterday, along with 10 other people, because he dipped into a World War One trench. There was a pothole when he was driving from his MOT. So poor guy, he just had his MOT done, had his car safe to be put on the road again, and then bam, yeah. But yeah, you do indeed get you are going to get freaky Frenchmen shoving World War One shells up their bums. Indeed. Imagine in the next few years how much of these freaks will scream about themselves if we don't do this. Exactly. There was a single teacher in my school who could have taught that lesson. Yeah, exactly. The thing is, right, that is kind of white pilling, I suppose, if you want to call it that, is that, at least as far as I understand, a lot of teachers don't want to teach it, so they are aware of it. They sort of kind of feel caught between a rock and a hard place. That isn't to justify it, right? Obviously, that isn't to justify it. But you're dealing with a different enemy. You're dealing with a different kind of problem if the teacher wants to teach it versus if the teacher doesn't want to teach it, right? And they're feeling forced to. You're dealing with a slightly different problem. And the solution is going to be a little bit different. Because that teacher who doesn't want to teach it, as soon as you need a lot less wind to change politically for that teacher to jump on board. You know what I mean? It's going to be like, I need to provide for my family. I need to make sure that they're okay. Mortgage, car, whatever it might be, food on the table for my kids, right? And they don't like it. And then the minute that starts changing and they have that little sense of security that if they do speak out or if they do join the cause, then they're going to be able to still provide that. They'll jump like that. They'll jump ship like that, which is what we want. When you hear then with the RSE lessons that a lot of the people going through it, they're going through it with this sort of sex positive view, like, I'll click back to my conversation with Kathryn as well if you guys haven't seen it. Appreciate everybody who tuned into that, by the way. Thank you ever so much. The bit about who's going through the teaching, it's really, really dire. Like, it makes you wonder about why they're setting these things up and who's going through to be the next like school teachers and stuff like that. I'll just quickly finish out this part of the clip and then I'll click back over.
It says a great place to research fantasy and kinks sex acts safely is on the internet. It shows a child looking at pornography on the computer. It says there's tons of people's and
Sorry, do I remember the lesson where we had to put the Johnny on the banana? Yes, I do. And it was weird. It was so weird that my art teacher had to give that lesson, and he was just, there's some people, I don't know how that they could have like taught that. I don't know how that made them feel. I can't imagine it made them feel good. You know? It's so weird. And yeah, I look back on those lessons now a lot differently. I never enjoyed art. It was my worst subject and teachers hated me. I don't think so much the teachers hated me because I was a bit of a teacher's pet in school, but just was never any good at it. So I never really like got on with them from a subject point of view. But yeah, it was a hell of a lot weird then when your art teacher had to teach you about, you know, what was it, like contraception and stuff like that, and demonstrate putting condoms on bananas. And I can't remember if it was a banana. I'm trying to think back now. It's been a long time since I thought about this. Maybe it's kind of like a repressed memory, right? That I've repressed it all in amongst the bullying and the suicidal ideation that I had through school. Yeah, it was certainly weird though. Wouldn't want to repeat it. But I'll just bring this up on full screen a minute. This is literally grooming through the school system. It's getting kids, young adults, right, to go online. A great place to research fantasies and kinks safely is on the internet. That's what they're saying. Do you honestly think anybody going to believe that in today's day and age? That that's a safe way to research, quote unquote research, right? Kinks, stuff like that. No, your younger sibling gets their hands on this book and goes in it. They're gonna, you know, God knows where they're going to end up. We've literally been going over a lot of the testimony from rape gang survivors at the moment, right? Well, it's just another avenue that kids are getting groomed by a slightly different type of groomer. And you've got these authors that are saying to kids, yeah, go research sexual fantasies on the internet, essentially like recommending to them what appears to be like a pornographic social media site, right? This says, but depending on, I can't read that. And then they got to put in this, right? In next to this, like, disgusting graphic here. Next to this, right? Because, but here's a heads up. Pornography is a performance. It's not a blueprint on how to have sex in real life. Just an action movie on how to guide you. Isn't a guide on how, just like an action movie isn't a guide on how you drive a car. So the thinnest veneer to make it seem like, oh yeah, we're not grooming, this shouldn't be what you're doing, but also go and research all these weird things on the internet with God knows whoever's out there to try and take advantage of you.
It says there's tons of peoples and communities out there who share your interests and have all kinds of advice. So this is just a few of the pages of this book.
Sharing a child's interest in sexuality, eh? What do we call those people, ladies and gentlemen? What do we call those people that would be sharing interest in child sexuality? Well, you say minor sexuality in this instance, given it could be, you know, young adults, right? What would be, I don't know, would be teenagers, or would we be saying then, you know, people who've like just turned?
Past me, based. Yeah. Oh, absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. You know, I mean, but this is the thing. It's important to remember, this infection is everywhere. This infection is everywhere, which is why we should be looking for it when it pops up. I hate it, you know, in other things as well. When people go, oh, well, that's not happening here, so why would I care? But it'd be like, yeah, but it is. You may just not be able to be switched on to it yet. You know what I mean? Feminine hygiene products all over the school, pads stuck on. Yeah. Teach every child in the country to look up kinks online. Why the fuck not? Yep, exactly. But not groomers, nothing like that. You know, what's the moniker that in particular it seems that, at least from what I've seen anyway, this one thing only seems to be pushing more from the left, at least in the modern day, right? But you look at, you know, past initiatives like the, you know, PI, you know, the not good person information exchange and stuff like that. They try to now pass the moniker minor attracted persons, aren't they? That's the way they're trying to get around it. Oh, they're not, you know, this heinous term which we should be phasing out because it's not progressive enough. No, they're just minor attracted persons. That's all they are. It's, I hate it, man. I hate it so much. But yeah, we're still conspiracy theorists apparently. Still conspiracy theorists apparently. If you go on about this, it's a conspiracy. You know, it's a right-wing hate campaign or whatever it is to, you know, not have children look up these weird sex things online. Apparently, anyway. But where's the clip that I wanted to bring up? What was it? Oh, what was the clip I was going to bring up? Oh, shit. Bear with. I know it was one of my parts of the conversation with Kathryn Watkins. Where is it? I think it might have been this one. Yeah, I think it might have been this one that you commented on, Inquisitor. Because you said you knew someone online who was so traumatized by her school sex ed that she was put off it for life. You're thinking now she's maybe in her 20s, late 20s, mid 30s, no partner, no kids that you know of, and she's a lovely lady. It was because of this video, which I'll bring up on screen now. Talking about who these people look up to and stuff like that. Yeah, when you commented this on it, it absolutely killed me. Not gonna lie, it really, really did. I'll show you the short now, guys. Coming up on screen now.
all of this makes sense when you realize, you know, who people idolize and who they view as their inspiration. Makes sense why they're trying to get, you know, masturbation is in the 0 to 4-year-old curriculum. When they say that in Wales, you don't have parental rights, but children have sexual and reproductive rights.
They're right. And it sounds all good. This is how clever they are. They've twisted that up. So their children's sexual and reproductive rights trump your parental rights. And that's how they've made it.
I just think even the phrase children's sexual reproductive rights
doesn't go, does it? It shouldn't be in the same sentence, should it?
No, instantly, there should be something which you recoil at the very notion.
And I always say, look, if they need to normalise something, if they're forcing normalisation of something, then it wasn't normal. It wasn't natural, was it?
If it's so good, why does it need to be forced?
It does, exactly. And that is, they are forcing it, and they are so deep. So another thing that was, you know, that I was taught that I had to, when I just like, that you have to go in and sort of talk about these things as if you're talking about the weather, because you have to, because otherwise the children will coil away. Well, is that not telling you something? If the children is naturally coiling away from these sexual things that they shouldn't know, we shouldn't be telling them. Not so just act normal, so it desensitizes them and they'll think it's normal, because that's essentially what we're doing and what society is doing.
That's the grooming process.
That's the grooming process. You groom the adult first, and the adult then grooms the child, even if they don't know they're doing it.
If they happen to wake up, well, send them to the place where there is no darkness, as George Orwell would say. It's horrendous. All of this makes sense.
So yeah, it's awful, man. It's awful, especially when you hear, like, as we mentioned, that it does have real effects on people. No, in a few years, it's happening, but it's a good thing. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because they're building the next generation of revolutionaries, aren't they? They're building the next generation of revolutionaries. This is another one I wanted to talk about as well. We're talking about Wales. Parental rights, no. Child sexual and reproductive rights, yes. Because this is what I wanted to get you guys' opinion on. A person left a comment on it, and I just didn't even think it warranted a response, to be honest. And I think it's mostly because Kathryn is a Christian. And as you mentioned there, about talking about things like normalization, things need to be normalized and stuff like that, sort of struck this person the wrong way. And in a comment about, in fact, I'll play the short first, and then I'll read you the comment. I just want to let you guys know, I think that the notion that the person is putting across is absolutely abhorrent. We've seen part of this already. I think it's absolutely abhorrent, the kind of notion that they're putting across, right? That they skipped over the whole part about parents not having parental rights, but children having sexual reproductive rights, to talk about the whole normalization thing, as you'll see in a moment. But this is the clip that they were responding to, and then I'll show you the actual comment itself. I just want to know, am I on the wrong side of this? Am I going mad? Right? Just for my own thing more than anything.
This is how clever they are. So when they say children's rights, you think, well, yeah, children should have rights and blah, blah. But they've twisted that up. So their children's sexual and reproductive rights trump your parental rights.
In academia, I know, and it makes you think, well, all of this makes sense when you realize who people idolize and who they view as their inspiration. Makes sense why they're trying to get, you know, masturbation is in the 0 to 4-year-old curriculum. They say that in Wales...
Right, so we literally just watched most of this. If I'm not mistaken, I'll just skip it forward a little bit. We just watched most of this.
It shouldn't be in the same sexual and reproductive and blah, blah. But they've twisted that up. So their children's sexual and reproductive rights trump your parental rights. And that's how they've made it.
I just think even the phrase children's sexual reproductive rights
doesn't go, does it? It shouldn't be in the same sentence, should it?
No, instantly, there should be something which you recoil at the very notion.
I know.
And it's just like people, I can't go against their sexual and reproductive rights. I'm like, they're 3 years old, they're 7 years old.
It's ridiculous, and it's frightening, and it's dangerous. It's very, very carefully wrapped up in
and it sets a dangerous precedent. All it takes is call the social services. The parent is violating, not in the way that you think, but the parent is in violation of the child's it's just sexual and reproductive rights by trying to pull them out of education. Go pull them out of the home.
Yeah. And that's essentially where it'll get to, you know, if people are not on the button and on the ball with these things, because that's what they need to normalise. And I always say, look, if they need to normalise something, if they're forcing normalisation of something, then it wasn't normal. It wasn't natural, was it?
If it's so good, why does it need to be forced?
It does, exactly. This is how clever.
Right. So that was the short, right? And we covered a lot there, you know. talking about the state can jump in and take kids away if, for example, you don't affirm their made-up gender or whatever it is, or if they say, "Mommy, I'm a boy, not a girl. I want to go have my breasts chopped off and I want to have a fake penis made or whatever," and they're like 9 years old or 12 years old, whatever it is, that the state could very well take your child away, or they could fill them full of cross-sex hormones, as we've seen in Canada. There's a great case in Matt Walsh's What is a Woman documentary. Not a great case as in it was good, a great example to point to, of a child forcibly undergoing this transition procedure against the father's wishes, and he was criminalized and I believe charged about $30,000 as a fine and possibly put in prison as well. Me and Kathryn discussed it. The comment in question was this, which you can probably see on the side of the screen. In fact, I'll just bring it up a little bit bigger here, but you can see the person said, "Oh my God, this is so stupid. I think parents should have control over their kids' sexuality. Also, people have been normalizing things." This is the comment here. All the time. Gay marriage had to be normalized. Christianity had to be normalized. It's not inherently good or evil. I do believe Christianity said, "By your fruits you will know them," first off, and it also says, "Woe to those who call good evil and evil good." But I'm thinking here is that last, I would have said, children are not sexual beings. The acknowledgement that child sexuality is a thing already makes it an open and shut case, at least in my book, of who we're talking about here, right? And if you are going to make the case that parents should be able to bring their child up really however they want, right? That's the thing we trust parents to do, right? You have certain cases where children may need to be taken out of the home for their own safety, right? But this is the whole thing with parental rights, right? They should be able to bring them up in line with their own values, right? And I think a lot of people would say, with the more normalization of things like this, it hasn't actually necessarily been a good thing, right? I don't think you could say that, quote unquote, Christianity, the kind of systems that we have today in Christianity have been, quote unquote, normalized in the same way. Right, as far as I'm aware, at least, in many ways, aside from some examples, a lot of nations would later voluntarily adopt Christianity. This has been forced hand over fist with the power of the state. I don't think they're in any way the same, and certainly their fruits are not the same, so we shouldn't be playing an equivalence game, in my opinion. But am I bugging? Am I bugging? When I say that I don't, when I think this person is saying something that's absolutely abhorrent, am I bugging? Seems absolutely nuts to me. Seems absolutely nuts that a person, mind you, can hear everything that we talked about there when we're talking about state tyranny and that it can take people's kids away with no good reason, right? Often against their own safety, right? And that the person chooses to then go on about parents controlling children's sexuality in the normalization aspect. That doesn't make any sense to me. And how people can just like massively just overlook that and call it stupid when this has torn families apart, I'll never know. I'll never ever know. So I'm just checking up with your chats a moment. There was another thing I wanted to go into as well. A little bit of data as well, because I like to back this up with data when I can, when it's available. It's mandating that teachers act like groomers regardless of whether they are, so that all students are sexualized early and therefore easy target for actual nonsense. Yep, absolutely. RSE stuff I had to look up at a government website to see if what Kim was saying was true. Comment misunderstands the question. It's not the child's sexual preference, their sexual health, as far as not chopping off healthy body parts. Yeah, as well at the acknowledgement that children is obviously not sexual beings. I was going to say not human beings, that not sexual beings, right? That's the whole thing. People who see children as sexual beings, that tells you obviously about what they are. That's the biggest thing. Normalizing sexuality in children is scientifically proven to have an adverse effect on their lives long term. We'll think of all the kids that are now, get hooked on porn and OnlyFans and all stuff like that, right? It's when their brains are malleable, it's easy to push them into that sort of thing. and get them hooked for life and make them lifelong customers, essentially. And this is the other thing then as well, which I discussed in another podcast, but I believe I've still got the screenshots from the study. I couldn't get over it. I covered this on my other podcast a good while ago, and I've covered it in another video since then. These two things, I'll bring them up now. These are data points from a study by the name of Development of Gender Non-Contentedness During Adolescence and Early Adulthood, sorry. This is from February 2024. I talked about this at the time when I started turning my other podcast political, and it got me in trouble. So if I can go find the study as well, I'll link it down below. I took the figures from this study, and I wanted to bring them up in the video because I think it's very, very damning when it comes to like trusting the state and stuff like that, because this is one of the biggest points of information. First off, is essentially if you just leave kids alone, right, it seems naturally it will decrease massively over time. And the percentages on this one figure don't quite add up to 100%, I believe, due to rounding errors, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check. Due to rounding, percentages do not add up to 100%. But in this graph here, which you can see, I'll zoom it out a little bit just so you can see it all. Development of gender non-contentedness during adolescence and early adulthood. There's only around 2% that correspond with increasing gender non-contentedness. Most of people, as they get older, from about 10 years old through to 25, by 20, the ones that did report a slight increase in I want to be the opposite sex, but not even that high, right? And I'll go through the sample in a moment because I think there's something interesting also to talk about this with regards to the two different samples they used. They used a clinical cohort, which is another good source of another observation, which I think is extremely important, very damning for state interventions. First off, by the time they're about 20, 98, 99%, whatever it is, will have already, pretty much grown out of it. And you have 2% that have increased, not even up to like often, but in this instance, only up to like sometimes. So you wonder what's going on here, right? What's really important for me, however, is when you look at this. So this here is from something called Trails, right? And it's the cohort that they used at the time. Now, Trails CC, which are the red bars, is a clinical cohort, i.e. they were in some kind of clinical institution, as far as I'm aware from when I read the methodology. I'll link the clip down below if you want to go and watch the clip where I explain this a lot better. Development of gender non-contentedness during adolescence and early adulthood. What you're seeing here is the kids who are in the clinical cohort, i.e. the red, right, reporting significantly higher pretty much at every age that they want to be the opposite sex in terms of percentage, right? The percentages are low, mind you, so they're pretty much at age 11, they were very similar. Then by age 13, it had dropped significantly in females and males. Obviously, you can see that females naturally report higher instances of this pretty much at every age group aside from 19, which is a bit weird in this cohort. But they naturally report it, likely due to higher levels of negative emotion, which if you watch Jordan B. Peterson, for example, he bandies on about that all of the time when he was having these debates with I think it was like Kathy Newman, Channel 4, and a bunch of others as well. It was the feminist interviewer from Gentleman's Quarterly, GQ, if I'm not mistaken. But in the clinical cohort, they have nowhere near the same improvement fall off with regards to not wanting to be the opposite sex. By this point, females and males, you're around less than 4%. You're nearly double. You're around 7% for both, right? You're around 7% for both. And it's massively higher pretty much at every single time frame all the way through to age 25. That, to me at least, speaks that in these institutions, which if you have a look at institutions, for example, the easy one to point to is the NHS, it's ideologically indoctrinated when it's state-run. Probably kids that are being pushed into these institutions, they're not actually getting the care that they require. And as a result, that's why you then see that they remain higher with these desires, because they're surrounded by this stuff for so long. Because in these places, you're likely having people that have been told by the government, by their own programming, to push this onto children. Parents, you likely don't have the same thing, for the most part. I think most parents, at the very least, are going to be quite well adjusted, right? And that's why, at least I would think, that you'd see this natural drop-off, just because they're probably not, for the most part, indoctrinating their children to this shit. So I think we should be caring when, on a false pretense, you could have social services boot down your next door neighbor's door and take their kids away and put them into one of these institutions and actively contribute to the problem, not solve it. Just because they didn't want to call them by the opposite sex because they knew that it wasn't in line with the truth. That's why I think we should care. That's why I think it matters, and that's why obviously parental rights matter. But yeah, I think the person might have misunderstood the short, to be fair. But yeah, what do you guys think? Oh shit. There we go. I'm just checking your chat on my phone at the sec. There we go. Quite damning, in my opinion, for the, you know, for the clinical cohorts and stuff like that, and for the institutions and stuff like that, which reminds me of like my conversation with James S's and stuff like that, which like therapists are being forced to uptake this, and you can not be sure nowadays if you're going to go to a therapist that's just going to affirm you because they've been told by the government to, and they're facing increasing pressure to do so. So yeah, they're coming after obviously every institution, and you wonder why you see children who report higher levels of this stuff. So I think it substantiates a lot of what Kathryn was saying without conversation. So obviously go and watch it on YouTube and Rumble and all the other things as well. Just checking this at the moment. Right into the institutions pushing this stuff. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why then you end up with kids then that report much higher levels of it over time, because they're not actually trying to get them out of it. If they did try to get them out of it, it would be seen as, you know, transphobic or whatever, or coercive is what it would be seen as. So yeah, I thought that was important to consider. Thought it was important to go over, not to mention all of the other things we went into which I didn't know about before, like the role of the pornography and sex industry, Kinsey's involvement with intelligence agencies and stuff like that. It was a really mad conversation at parts, like some other things which we were going into. Really, really cool. But yeah, you should really go and listen to that conversation I had with Kathryn. And I think now we'll go into see what's available. Joe, where's he to? Let me go at my WhatsApp a minute. Joe sent me something which I thought would be good to go over. This was the clip. Yeah, this was the clip that I saw by the looks. I'll bring this up now. So, move into a little bit now about the Warwick demo. By the way, if anybody wants to go and check out more of what Kathryn has done, her videos, all of those kinds of things, her website is in the chat. During COVID, when the kids weren't in school, they were reporting lower levels of it. Once they were back to school, the numbers went up again. Yeah, because they were spending more time with the parents. Spending more time with the parents is one of the things that, yeah, some things were quite shocking in a way, I suppose, that people, I think particularly, you know, people learned from COVID and stuff like that. And there was a massive power and wealth grab. It was a massive eye-opening event for a lot of people. Massive eye-opening event for a lot of people. And for all of the talk that the left in particular, for example, engages in with regards to fascism and fighting fascism and all of this stuff, well, they gave us a fascist state. They gave us a true fascist state, if you will, in that time period. No way you couldn't, you know, even just go out and see your friends. You couldn't gather in groups of whatever it was. You had to stay 2 meters apart, which was completely not scientifically based. The lies about the vaccine, obviously, and that they tried to force it, right? They tried to force, you know, the mask. They were the ones massively behind the mask mandates and all of this stuff. So yeah, it was really, really wild time, and I think it woke a lot of people up to being like, oh, well, these supposed anti-fascists, they're a lot more like the fascists they claim to be against than they would say, right? Then people realize, you know? So, from the Warwick demo today, which is supposed to be we'll finish up, because I haven't exactly got that much longer. It's a clip that Joe sent me. It's about 11 minutes long. And this is a thing where I saw an exchange between Steve and somebody who goes by Lander on what was it? On X. He quote posted one of the clips. And he said, I'm not going to Fed jacket, and I don't know this guy, but what I can say is this behavior will put people off remigration, which the country desperately needs. Whether that's the intention or not, I don't know. Steve clarified in the comments, said, we got attacked and surrounded by leftists on the way in, and without this lad and a couple of others, myself and our activists would have been physically attacked. You're doing the left's work for them, retards, honestly. I'll bring this up on screen so that you can see it as well. I'll zoom in just a little bit. So yeah, this is the clip. So I'll play it on mute. So this is the clip. Part of the clip probably going into in a moment, but this is where he says, I'm not going to Fed jacket. Steve responds saying, we're surrounded by leftists. Fighting police officers and throwing Roman salute isn't the best look to push immigration like you. Achieving that goal is more important than anything for me. But if I think something is likely to hinder that aim, I'm going to call it out. That said, appreciate that you were there and I know more about the situation on the ground. All I can go is what I saw here. The police were trying to keep us in the stand-up to racism crowd to get us attacked, hence the scuffle. I'm happy that lad was in my corner. Don't care if he got a little overexcited. The opposition were literally calling for our death, but you haven't said a word on that. Don't attack our allies. If you're uncomfortable, then look away. It says, I didn't hear anybody in that clip calling for your death, which is the only reason why I haven't commented on it, and this is genuinely the only clip I've seen for the day. If it's not attacking allies, I've called for remigration both on here and on YouTube. I'm one of the only people on YouTube to explicitly state that I'm an ethno-nationalist. My position is not as strong as yours for sure, but if I'm an ally in any sense and you just called me a retard, said I'm doing the left's work for them, then surely that's also attacking an ally. This is, in my opinion, a good I would say this is pretty productive online discourse, if anything. Maybe, you know, as Steve will point out now, Lander could have done better without searching for more, right? But I think he was making a point of it's just something that is not good optically. Is not good optically, but again, context being they were forced into this situation, right? That's why you can't exactly fault them too much for it. It's just really sad that it came to this. Obviously, you never want it, but this is the thing the leftists do, as we know. They will go to these events, they will agitate, and then they will cry. They will cry foul. So this is the whole thing. I appreciate exchanges like this because you get to, you know, people seeing things in real time. This exchange happening in real time. But we'll go through some of the things now. And yeah, I think it's good when at these things you don't want to attack your allies, obviously, but you just want to hope that, how can I phrase it? I suppose you want to keep things as clean as possible, which if things come for this, you need to defend yourself. You know what I mean? And we've seen that police are complicit. So I don't think you can be too hard on any of them. I don't think you'd be too hard on any of them here. I think this is one of those events. It was always going to be a contentious one because it was patriotic alternative. It was one of the biggest ones that we've seen, I think, so far. But yeah, it's the exact same thing, not to liken the causes, to equivocate the causes or anything like that. But trouble we saw at Tommy Robinson's rally, you know, it doesn't matter who it is necessarily that's running these things. Leftists go there, they agitate, they cry foul, and it's an easy optical victory for them, which is why sadly it seems that many people on the right being whiter than white, so to speak. I know that's probably an expression that's going to get me thrown in jail. You know what I mean? The state are going to throw me in jail for that. But you know what I mean? Cleaner than clean, which is, it's extremely hard to do with the kind of nature of the enemy that you're facing. So you have to go into this. But again, it's important to have that discourse, right? It's important to have that discourse, even if it's combative, even if you're using words like retard and whatever else, right? It's okay to have these arguments and stuff like that. You just want it to be resolved in a positive way as well. I'm saying you don't start fights, don't throw. Yeah, they've been saying for years, don't start fights, don't throw Romans, etc. That's what I mean. When the guy threw up the Roman, which I have seen that part of the clip, it's just like you've given them an easy optic. You've given them an easy optic, a screenshotable moment, which I get it in the moment. You get fired up. I understand, right? And maybe you do things deliberately to be provocative. It's just it can be, you know, an easy optical victory. I mean, so he's not at fault for calling out that stuff. Yeah, I think it's a case of he was given an honest take. He was given his honest take, which you can't fault him for. and Steve's responding, and they're having this back and forth, which is good necessarily for people to see. Maybe sometimes it's good as well to take it to the DMs, maybe sometimes, and have that conversation in private, like where, your boss or whatever has to speak with you at the back if he's got something important to say. If he wants to chew you up for something, he's not going to do it in public. Maybe you have that, but that's just the way of online discourse nowadays. Anybody's going to throw something out there publicly, they can get responded to publicly, which is fair enough. That's the way it is. What do they call it? The town square. The town square is what it's for. That's what it's for, since they're more emotionally invested. I think the police knew that they are paid activists half the time, so the right are actually... Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And they know that because the left... And because the police are massively ideologically captured in the same way, they'll just let the left do whatever the hell they want. They just let the left do whatever the hell they want. They're not there to police the action. They're there to police the reaction. You know what I mean? And score, again, an easy optical victory for the paid globalist side, which is what we know these activists are. They've been paid. They've been ferried there. You know what I mean? They're not there with any kind of investment. They're there because it's an easy payday. And they think maybe they're genuinely fighting fascists. I don't know. When you then start throwing up Romans, it kind of, again, it just gives them an easy thing to go on, even if you're supporting a good cause. So we'll just go and bring this clip up, and we'll see what's going on. Oh, sorry guys. I'll quickly sort the. There we go. Sorry. There we are.
Push me like that. Get away. You got to get through to this event. He's attacking me! You're not shooting me!
So there we are. That's the Roman there.
One of your officers.
That's the thing. You do want, right? You don't want somebody, when somebody's going to attack you, when you've got a group around you, in fairness, you do not want somebody that's going to, cut and run necessarily, right? Now, I understand sometimes discretion could be the better part of valor. You know what I mean? If you just get randomly accosted by somebody on the street and you're just on your own, you don't have anybody with you or anything like that, there as part of a larger thing, you just need to get home and get away from the threat, right? It's often not worth it, especially when then you could end up with charges and stuff like that. So a lot of times when you're in this situation, right, you can just cut and run, but you can't in this situation, so what's the guy supposed to do? And then he does seem to be in a situation where he's being attacked, and at least the way that I understood it anyway, you'd have a right to self-defense, right? You can see here, if I just rewind a bit quick, that, personal space, as you can see here, is an absolute myth. But obviously you're at an event where, again, personal space is going to be a myth anyway.
Don't push me like that. Get away. You got to get through to this event. He's attacking me! You're not shooting me! One of your officers pretty much standing against me and got in my face, swore at me.
They're all gone now, we're sure. Yeah, exactly.
14! Again, I don't know. Possibly you could say another optical victory because you have here people with face coverings on. I get it. A lot of people have to go anonymous on social media if they're on the right because of this, right? Because they're going to be clamped down on by the state, even if they have views that may be completely opposite to these guys in many ways, but are still not politically correct enough for the establishment left. So you have a guy here holding Aryan front banner, a guy doing a closed-fisted Roman, it appears like, with the other guy doing a closed-fisted Roman as well, not exactly the same as a Roman salute, obviously, but the other guy with the face covering on. And it's just like, again, you're wondering now what the hell's going on. Is this part of the demo? Is it not? Does seem that it's part of it, right? Does seem that he was part of Steve anyway, and he was in Steve's corner. And especially when you're going up against the kind of leftists you have, you've got to have some kind of enforcement arm, if you will. It's why many people on the right in America have their own private security, because they need to. They know the state's not going to protect them. So this is it's easy optics, though. It has to be said. It's easy optics for the left to take. So maybe that's something that could be taken forward as something that could just be used to improve the optics. You know what I mean? The government, the media is trying to paint these people as thugs. It's trying to paint these people as, kind of like the way you'd paint the SA, right? the stormtroopers. That's the kind of imagery that they're trying to create, right? So you just gotta weigh up the pros and cons, I suppose. You're making a statement where you do something like this, which maybe is going to resonate with some people. Who knows? Quite clearly shows that, at least it would hope to show that you're passionate about the cause and stuff like that. But then a lot of people are going to see this, right? A lot of people are going to see this, and they will be put off by it. I think that's also a valid observation. Because we don't like to see this kind of infighting and stuff like that, which is why I think it might have been good to, keep this kind of stuff, private. Maybe Steve could have responded privately, or maybe one of them could have suggested, look, let's take this to the DMs, let's have a proper talk about it, do it that way, right? But again, it's easy for me to say. It's easy for me to say as somebody who wasn't there, wasn't involved in this situation, right? It's very, very easy for me to say. So I'm not going to be throwing shade necessarily in any direction, right? It's just me, in my opinion, that this would be something that especially the establishment media and the leftists, they could absolutely run and have a field day with this. Whether that was actually avoidable, I don't know. I'm just going to check this at the moment. 100% Laws and his people were kettled in and the plot was slow to react. Yeah, absolutely. They probably facilitated it. You know what I mean? It's exactly what they want as well. Exactly what they want as well, with the same ideological bent, right? The bloke with the beard was provoking throughout the demo. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised whatsoever, which is why it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. You need to have, these demos and stuff like that. There's a whole point about community politics and stuff like that. But the one thing you can say about like big demos and stuff like that, they can be seen as big morale boosters, and a lot of people are going to see them. So you need to have, it's good to have a balance of both, right? Because you can have the big flashy demos without any of the infrastructure. And then the minute you get power, you're not going to have a single clue what to do. And then you can have all of the people behind it with the brains for the political initiatives. But then if they don't have the captivating, if they don't win people's hearts and minds with like maybe big demos or morale boosters, then they could end up just not being big enough to what is it? Grab the glass ring, grab the brass ring, jump over that little bit of get over that last hurdle to get there where then they can do their good work. So yeah, the whole game was rigged against them. And I completely understand that. It's like Glowies, to be fair. I'm seeing a lot more of this white power Aryan BS recently. I think those Nick Fuentes interviews have made some people think it's cool to be like a skinhead neo-Nazi. Yeah, you never know, because people can just, especially if people are caught in that emotional as well. People are acting very, very emotionally, which in this instance, you're going to have it. Emotions are going to run high. This is not really a case where, you're going to be thinking logically 100% of the time, especially if somebody's threatening you and provoking you, right? I fully understand that. And, it's then people are going to interpret all different kinds of things differently, aren't they? And, yeah, it's good to have those discussions, like when he was on Stephen Crowder, he was on Piers Morgan, obviously, because if you're censoring somebody, it makes people want to understand them all the more, and they need to have that conversation. Then you never know how people are going to interpret it. Politics is a numbers game. It exactly is. Think about it. The reason why people are so much of this has gone through is just because there's no vote numbers anymore. A lot of people just don't even turn up to vote anymore. And when politics is a numbers game, that's by even I get disillusioned with it sometimes, though. By not voting, it's essentially casting a ballot for an initiative you certainly don't want. Know what I mean? How the police reacted to that guy getting attacked at the uni and then tried to citizens arrest. Yeah, exactly. The Montgomery Toms thing. Exactly. You saw it. They arrested, what was his name? Coleshill? Whatever his name is. Montgomery Tom's associate. I'm not sure if he was actually his bodyguard or whatever. But they arrested him for citizen's arrest after a guy came up behind Tom Montgomery Tom's and flipped his table. It's just disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Fucking annoying, though. 1930s Britain on 1930s Germany. I just want to return to the way things were. You know what I mean? I just want to return to the way things were.
Yeah, exactly.
14! Later on in court, and if you do say, maybe give an evidence, yeah? Okay. Yeah? When you look at current...
I'm not sure what side this guy was on. This one that you do like to see, though, right? This is what I'm talking about now. Just people, regular people, it would seem, turning up flags in big numbers. This is kind of what you like to see. You know, maybe you have one or two agitators, you know, maybe not even agitators on the one side, but you have the leftists that are agitating in one, and you may have one or two responses. A lot of people, then they're just there because they want to hear what the speakers have to say. They want to hear what Mark Collette has to say. They want to hear what Steve has to say. They want to hear what Hugh has to say. They want to hear what Laura Towler has to say. They want to hear what these people have to say, right? That's ultimately what they're there for. And you're just seeing here, right, all of the flags, whether it's the British flag, whether it's the Welsh flag, whether it's the English flag. I don't know whether people might have been down there with Scottish flags and Irish or Northern Irish flags, right, whatever it might have been. But this is the kind of stuff you like to see. This is what the movement is about, really. It's just regular people, the shared cause coming together. And for this event, it was just speaking. It was just supposed to be speaking. You know what I mean?
Should do it later on in court, and if you do say, maybe give an evidence, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah?
When you look at cousin marriages, stabbings, terrorism, shootings, all of these things, all these immigrant problems that cause burden on the NHS, you look at negligent nurses, negligent doctors. No migrants, no NHS. Does that include the one who tried to blow up Glasgow Airport? The doctor that drove gas canisters in?
Or a monologue?
Either one would be fine.
Well, then let me give me a chance.
Give me a
chance to talk. The number of migrants working in the NHS is so huge because they will do the low-paid jobs that you guys don't want to do.
This guy wants to speak.
Boomer wants imported slave labor. That's what I took away from that. Boomer wants imported slave labor. And in fact, I actually saw something which was very pertinent to this. Let me see if I can find it a bit quick. Somebody shared this, and it was interesting statistics on percentage. I think it was immigrant staff in the NHS and percentage of the population. Let me just see if I can find it. So this was the post in question, which I'll bring up on screen for you now. I thought this was, you know, essentially just what more do you need to say? What percentage of England and Wales is white British? Currently, according to this anyway, it stands at about 74.4%. Then what percentage of the NHS staff in England are white British? And it is 74.3%, it's a 0.1% difference. Meaning we have enough native staff in the NHS to cover the healthcare needs of the native population without having any immigrant staff whatsoever. I think that pretty much just kills the argument that guy made. And they're literally saying is like, look, we want to drive wages down. Our suicidal empathy means that we have to drive wages down and destroy the society that we inherited that you guys are now never going to know. Or at least you're never going to know if we get our way anyway. And because they make up such a large percent that is, you know, just over 1/4 if it is to be, you know, believed, right? If these data is to be believed. But again, people are going to be saying, why were those positions given to foreigners? Why were native people deprived of those positions? Think of all the people that have been through like nurse training and NHS training and all of these things that now can't get a job in the sector. They can't get a job in the sector now because there's these diversity drives. And that's been the whole thing. That's been the whole thing from the very start. I'm surprised that we couldn't see it sooner. I'm surprised that I couldn't see it sooner. Was that it's been to push British people out. That's what the whole equity, equality of outcome has been made to do. But it's now that it's right in front of our face the whole time, and more people are waking up to it, that you have these heated things all over it. Perspective, how you doing? Good to see you, my man. Good to see you. So I was catching up on some of your comments in the chat now. Yeah, I know you meant Inquisitor. Don't worry. I know you meant. My response for comments like my response for comments like the Austrian painter was right. Yeah, I love the memes where like grandpa remembers what the last failed painter did, and it's like the grandkid is being like, "Mommy, look what I look what I drew," and it's like mom's like, "Oh, that's cute, sweetie, that's cute," and the granddad is like, you know, clapping, like the Shia LaBeouf clapping meme, because he remembers what the last failed painter did. What were the percentages? 74.4% white British in the UK, and then 74.3% of the staff in the NHS are white British. So literally nearly a 1-to-1 between percentage of the population white British and then percentage of the NHS staff white British. That's where it is. 100%. We're not for the anti-white NHS management. Still be practicing as a specialist nurse in the NHS. Exactly. And everything then goes hand in hand with that. The Islam and a part of this, you know, wider political correctness with the whole thing with the transgender that we've been through the whole stream, right? That all fits in with it as well. You know, it's all part of this wider politically correct narrative. One of the biggest facets of it being anti-white discrimination.
There is a few people amongst you who can hold a civilised conversation.
I'm not one of them.
The guy's been very polite.
I'm not one of them.
So what's your point in being here?
Do I look good?
I've already took a step back. I stood where you were a second ago.
You're only allowed to record and be in this location if you are actually doing it for journalistic purposes. If you're here to wind people up, I will deal with you as a member of the public and I will move you away. Okay? This is your first and only warning that you get.
Who's he to make that determination? He asked the question. Now, maybe the one thing he could have done is just when he said take a step back, right? Just don't play the game. Because he is standing quite close. It does have to be said, right? He's not agitating. I'm not saying that he's being an agitator or anything like that. But the guy's literally saying he's in some kind of high vis. So I can only assume, again, he's one of these activists that has been, you know, shepherded there for political reasons, right? He is stood quite close, but no closer than you would be for a standard conversation. If the person just says, look, can you just take one step back? I suppose it's not really a big deal just to take that one step back, I suppose, if it means that you might actually get a wider conversation out of it. And he does, you know, he has got the webcam quite close to his face, which can be a little bit off-putting, you know. If a random person come up to me, stood right up in front of me and put a camera in my face, you know, especially when the whole thing here, these guys know that they seem to be on opposite sides. It's like, it's just that little bit more confrontational. So again, just little things that maybe could be done better. Doesn't mean that the demo was wrong. Doesn't mean that the guy was wrong to defend himself when the police were kettling in and stuff like that. But you can point out little things that you would hope that could be done better.
What's your point in being here? Do I look good? I've already took a step back. I stood where you were a second ago.
You're only allowed to record and be in this location if you are actually doing it for journalistic purposes. If you're here to wind people up, I will deal with you as a member of the public and I will move you away. Okay? This is your first and only warning that you're going to have for that, sir. Okay?
Yeah, this is the one today that happened in Warwick. This is the one that today happened in Warwick. The stats, I believe, in the post were based off of 2021. At least the demographic map was based off of 2021 anyway. So could very well, things might have changed since then. But again, the census from 2021 is the most up-to-date information that we have, as far as I'm aware. But yeah, this is a Warwick. It's the patriotic alternative demonstration done in Warwick today.
Dealt with you on other occasions.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Have you, when I was assaulted that time in London, was you the copper there, weren't you?
No, I wasn't.
Were you not?
No.
I thought you were.
No. I've dealt with you before in London.
Yeah, when?
I can't remember. I go to so many events.
Yeah.
But I'm just giving you a warning on this occasion. Okay. So please don't go into the crowd and wind people up, because if there are offences, we will be looking at.
Well, I've been moving away gradually. I was speaking to a gentleman.
You've been stood here. You haven't moved from that block for the last 2 minutes that I've been here.
Just going to have a walk around because we are not having our protest yet. Okay.
Right, the clip was cut, so could we assume that maybe he was talking to that guy for longer than 2 minutes? So saying that he hasn't moved for 2 minutes is not the flex that he think it is, right? Come on. Obviously, the clip was cut, and we don't know when this interaction between this person in the pink high-vis and the person with the webcam here started, right? We don't know when that started. In fairness, the police officer, he's being stern, but he's not getting in his face, right? He's not, saying that right away he's going to be arrested or whatever. Seems to be sort of insinuating that, but again, this instance, people could go, police officer, oh, look, he's stopping him from videoing or whatever. Doesn't that. He's just saying he has to do it for journalistic purposes, which is what you hope people would be there to do, right? Because you got to think about people that might be there to farm clips, people that might be there to farm sort of interactions and stuff like that, try and, again, entice people into certain reactions for the camera, right? So you do have to... The cop here knows that anything could go off at any moment, right? So he's going to be on edge. So again, even with the police, even we know a lot of them are, politicization, political enforcement agents. I think a lot of them still, even if they have slight biases, work on the at least in one-to-one scenarios like this. Maybe not in the instance where we saw that group scuffle earlier, which is you just got to do what you got to do. You know, if someone's threatening your life, you got to take that extremely seriously. Which we've seen that these guys they'll kill. They killed Charlie Kirk, right? And they'll attempt to kill people, right? Stephen Crowder's had his life threatened multiple times. They'll kill you. So you got to take that seriously. And a lot of police, I think, when they're in these situations, if you try and be as fair as you can with them, they'll try and be as fair as you can with you. I would hope. I've never been to one of these demos, so I can't say that. And police do certainly have a bias towards the left. That's obvious, right? Yeah, exactly. How is he supposed to conduct the interview? So I think, you know, maybe overstepping his bounds here, maybe sensing that something could pop off. The guy said that I'm not capable of holding a coherent conversation, or I'm not capable of good discussion, right? You could take that as a veiled threat, right? But again, it's now saying that, it's not that guy that has to be penalized for potentially making a veiled threat. It's the guy with the camera that has to move on because he's the easier target. He could be seen as the instigator, right? You know, you have this guy that's literally in a pink vest, you know, basically saying, look at me, I'm basically a paid shill, if you will. You know, I'm basically paid activist. The interviewee was already hostile. He's just going in to act up and force the copper to step in. Yeah, could very well be, because he knows the officer's likely going to take his side. So yeah, could very well be. They'll play the game. Joe Marsh told me about an incident of a woman that charged at him with a weapon that was made out of like 2 flags, and it was like a wooden bit that was taped together, and actually tried to attack him, and he ended up pushing her. She ended up falling down the stairs. And then when he went to get charged, right, she was saying that because she's an anarchist, doesn't believe in law enforcement and laws in society and stuff like that, but she'll use the police to get him arrested. So that's the kind of game that they play. They'll put every single, which is why, again, you can't, like, in terms of like political initiatives coming together, you can't have any mercy with regards to this, right? Because they'll do anything. The kind of person you give them that little bit of mercy, they will use it against you. You know, the classic thing where like the hero the villain is defeated, but the hero doesn't kill him. He's like, okay, I'll let you go now. He turns his back, and the killer or whatever it is, or the villain has like picked up a sword or picked up a rock or whatever, just trying to attack the person, and then the hero is forced to kill them. You know what I mean? They didn't want to necessarily, but it's like a Batman's Joker. Like Batman's Joker, if you will, essentially. I think it was in Arkham City. If you ever played that video game, you know, Batman, you know, would have saved Joker with the serum that cured the disease. Then Joker stabbed him and he dropped it, and then he lost the serum, right? But then Batman saying that he would have saved him. You know, it's like that whole thing where they will use every single facet against you. And even if they don't believe in law enforcement, they'll use it when it's convenient for them. If he walks off, £100 says the cop would follow him. Probably. The officer just gave him the pass saying, you can't wind people up. 2 minutes later, he's winding me up. Yeah, exactly. Copper should... I'm just trying to read the comment here. It's obscured by the heart. The copper should check his pace codes, yeah? Sure.
So you are part of the protest, sir? Yeah. In which case, if you could go over that slide, that'd be great. Because you're not acting as a journalist. So under Section 17, I would rather you were over there.
Who streets? Our streets! Who streets? Our streets! Who streets? Our streets! Who streets? Our streets! Who streets? Refugees are welcome here! Zero! Zero clear! Refugees are welcome here! Our ancestors built this land! Refugees! Patriotic Alternative, your own website says face coverings will not be tolerated at your protest.
Guy literally pointed out there, I think it was a case of somebody on the left, seemingly from a saying patriotic alternative, your own website says that face coverings will not be tolerated at your protest. That's what I mean here, where again, because the game has been rigged, you have a lot of people that have to go anonymous if they want to do these things, right? But again, that then presents easy optical victory. So again, it's just a case of you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. This demo was never going to go off hitchless. Let's obviously say that it was never ever going to go off without a without a hitch. It was never going to be a protest-free affair, if you will, and it was never going to be a case where this was ever going to go swimmingly. But you're seeing here, it's an easy optical victory when you see somebody here that looks like, half of his face covered by like a Rorschach, white garment, and then with the sunglasses on as well. The reality is, however, is these people are forced to do it if they want to express their political views, because the left will go, they'll find their employers and they'll say, look, this person was involved in this event, they're gonna call you all of the things under the sun, and they're gonna get you fired, or they're gonna report you to whatever other authority. And odds are you'll be working for some state occupation, right? Maybe you're working in an office somewhere, like in different departments of the state, benefits department, whatever it might be, just trying to make ends meet. Or you're working for just working in a gym, like in my case, right? You were working in a gym and somebody found the things that you'd said publicly on a podcast even before you started working there, and they just make a complaint, and then that's it. That's your job's done. So you kind of have to do it. That's why a lot of people who make videos in this way do so anonymously, right? Because it's a great risk. Same thing we're doing here. That's where, again, you have one side, they're perfectly okay, aside from when they're going and actually committing acts of terror, obviously. But yeah, it's just sad that you have to do it, but it's an easy optical victory. So it's just a case of, I hope that the protest organizers, or at least whoever is able to do this kind of stuff, whoever is able to take into account that risk and act, I suppose, accordingly, react accordingly, I suppose. How does he define acting like a journalist? Yeah, exactly, because not all journalists act the same. You know what I mean? He's there with a camera. He doesn't have like a big news crew and a microphone. Is that what makes it? A big news crew and a microphone? So yeah, exactly. Show your face so we can arrest you for thought crime later. Exactly. Green Party people there, so retarded, they want to abolish nuclear power. Oh, and the rest of it. And they want to legalize all the drugs, Bloody Zach Polanski essentially showing he wants to be the next Heisenberg, but just make it legal. The boonie hats too. Devin looks like a few glowies there. Not as bad as the American ones. Yeah, I know. The American ones, I kind of think that's just a government psyop. You know what I mean? And I thought that initially. I thought that initially about the National Socialist Network in Australia. I thought they were like some sort of weird kind of psyop, but that was one of the cases where no, it does appear to be a real political initiative. You know what I mean? Like Thomas Sowell and people like that. So, yeah, it's just sad when it's such an easy optical victory. A lot of people will just zone out as soon as they see this. They're not going to care what Mark Collette has to say. They're not going to care about the points he has to raise, which in another podcast interview which he done recently, extremely articulate, extremely smart guy, quite clearly, when you actually sit him down and talk to him without all these protesters around, without all this rabble, right? He's quite clearly a very much so, very, well articulate and well educated guy, right? Just shame that in this scenario, you're never going to get that across. And a lot of people will sadly just tune out the minute they see this, which I hope we'll go into some of the speeches in a moment, but we'll see what happens with more of this now. It's the funniest thing about this sign. It says, Warwick welcomes all, not Nazis. So not all then. That's the thing. That's the thing when I love this, when it says, oh, we're so welcoming. We welcome everybody except the people we disagree with. Except the people, right, that... Because we know, the reason why this is so funny is because we know that people get called Nazis when they're not. So it's not actually talking about National Socialists. It's talking about anybody who doesn't agree with them. So we welcome everybody except those who don't agree with us. It's funny. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. This is the funny thing when you have this whole thing where you call everyone Nazis. You're going to be like, oh yeah, we welcome everybody except Nazis. Oh, what about the people that don't think, you should mutilate and sexually indoctrinate children? What about those people? Are they Nazis? Are they Nazis if they want to protect their kids from groomers in the school system? and groomers in the institutions, are they Nazis? Are they Nazis if they want justice for the rape guys? Are they damn making Nazis? You know, and they want the perpetrators in the communities removed. They want examples made of the perpetrators, and they want the communities that caused it and facilitated it removed. That makes us Nazis now, does it? If we object to the ethnic demographic replacement of Britain, that makes us Nazis. All right. Good luck with that. They'd love a communist, though. They absolutely would. They absolutely would. Yeah, they forget that, but not Nazis. Oh, I know, but you can't expect these people to be exactly the most literate, can you? But appreciate the effort, you know, I suppose. But maybe even this was astroturfed and provided for them by a Soros NGO. Who knows? Never communist. It's not like being a genocidal maniac is the line. Exactly. Do you think these people are capable of that kind of thought? No, the guy in the pink vest literally said that earlier. I hate this as well. You see that seemingly bringing kids along to this to use as political weapons. Again, easy optic, right? Kid not going to know any better. He's going to go along with what the adults are doing. And I thought that, because I said similar when you remember when the Ballymena unrest was going on recently? Or Ballymena? And you had that kid in the tiger or the lion costume, and he was holding this sign saying, "I want to be safe," and shouting on the street, "I want to be safe." Be like, I was one of those things that'd be like, you hope that in that scenario, whatever how, that the thing is that kids are not really able to take it in properly, are they? That's the thing that gets me about it. So when I see kids on either side in this scenario, which as far as I know, nobody, at least I've seen so far from like the patriotic alternative right kind of thing, have actually taken any children to it. If they have, the same thing applies, right? In things like this, where we're talking about kids and them not knowing any better and them being, you know, indoctrinated and groomed into political things, it has to, I think in some ways it has to go, you know, both ways, because they're not capable of fully understanding all of it. You know what I mean? And they shouldn't be involved in this kind of stuff because they can't take that all into account, because they haven't got the adult responsibilities in life yet. That's why it's so important that the adults in their life are there for them. It's seen that some will use kids and weaponize them, and they don't know any better. It's sad. It's really, really sad. Banners are Soros funded. Yeah, absolutely. Paid actors. Yeah, Epping is another great example. Yeah. The ones where they were making those things and tying them to the fence. Was it like love arts? Like those like felt love arts with like things on there like migrants are welcome or whatever it was. And you know it's coming either straight from the parents or straight from the school system. It's horrendous, man. You can't notice that though. Stop noticing. Yeah, I know. Noticing is the crime. Noticing is the real crime. Our love is stronger than your hate. Love for who? Love for who? Because it's certainly not your own people. It's certainly not your own people. You know? What does that say? The father probs have low testosterone. I gotta say, that's one of the things which was actually used against me in my hearing, which I got sacked for, which is quite interesting. So I'm going to refrain from making any of those kind of comments. But yeah, it's kind of a funny thing. Fernie shared something on Instagram earlier saying that about the Epstein files and what was it? Another reason not to trust men with low T or something like that. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Another thing, weak men create hard times. Hard times create strong men. That's the kind of cycle that we're going through. See, there we go. That was actually quite nice. Give credit where credit's due. Give credit where credit's due. They gave Twitter DM. I haven't seen them at the moment. I've got shit tons, and it's weird. It comes up on my what is it? My thingy page, When I go onto X on my computer, it comes up with a message notification, which I've just seen now. When I'm on my phone, it doesn't. It's really, really weird. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Well, when we finish the stream, I'll get back to you. But yeah, this here, where the guy is screaming, this guy is screaming right here, saying this guy to get back, whatever it is. For some reason, Scooby-Doo's at this protest, right? Scooby-Doo, till he's a massive ethno-nationalist. Old copper is still impartial, maybe? Yeah, maybe. But he actually told, in this instance, what appears to be, the man-bun left-wing agitator in this instance, to get back. Working out is definitely right-wing. That's what The Guardian says. The Guardian says that you're a right-wing Nazi if you work out, That's what The Guardian says. There's a whole science behind it, politically even. I can send a video about it. Please do. Send it over to my DMs. I'll go over that as well. But yeah, because I know I've got... I saw that I had like 8 messages on there, so I know that I've got quite a few to respond to. Yeah, my desktop... Yeah, newer copper could barely... Oh, shit. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Shit. No. Oh, no. Shit. There we go. Is it back? I think I accidentally... Oh, no. Hold on. I'm sorry, because I didn't mean to do that. Sorry, guys. Pause a minute. I think I accidentally hid something in the chat. I didn't mean to. So let me give you guys a little bit of insight. I've got the video going. I've got the stream going on my phone because I can't see the chat when I've got the video like this. So I've got the stream going on my phone at the same time, and I've got your chats in there. But this annoying thing right down in the corner, which you can see. Hang on. You guys can see the chat anyway, so it's not like I'm doxing anybody here. That heart down there, I got to press in between that and your name in order to bring up the message so I can see it fully. And I think I accidentally deleted one of the chats. Perspective, I'm so sorry. Did I say Inquisitor? Sorry. Perspective, I'm so sorry. So my desktop doesn't either. I think Twitter, might have to click on DMs to connect the convo. I'll double check. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, because I tried to restore it as best I could. But yeah, sorry about that, guys. But yeah, it does seem here that the older copper in this instance is actually pushing him back. See, like, I've had enough of your shit as well. This older copper, or this older sort of PCSO, whatever it might be, right? In this instance, he did like just maybe he's had enough shit from both groups. You know what I mean? He's like, I don't get paid enough for this shit, so I'm just going to take it out on both of you. I can clearly see in this instance, it seems that this guy, the guy in the cap here with the stop immigration sign on it, is doing nothing wrong in this instance. But again, the guy here agitating and shouting at him, again, respect seems to go one way. If you're on the left, don't need to speak to anybody with respect, because you inherently think you have the moral high ground, so you can speak to anybody whoever you want, right? In this is now you're seeing here that the police officer will actually shoot him back, which is actually nice to see. So this is where I think a lot of them hopefully still working on sort of like the thing where, like, if you're good with us, we'll be good with you. You know what I mean? If you work with, you don't make life hard for us, we will make it unnecessarily hard for you. But then it's hard then for them not to then view everybody with the same suspicion when you have that agitation that is, we know the source of it, but again, easy optical victory. So, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's good to see in this instance here that the guy was agitating, he actually got pushed back.
Step back! Sir, just step back as well, please.
Refugees are welcome here. The people united.
You alright? Yeah, just filming. Would you mind moving back to the
You are pissing on their graves. Yes, you are.
Guys, let's just leave it there again.
What did Alec Penstone again? What did he say again? Said that essentially World War II wasn't worth it. Whilst sat opposite Adil Ray, right? Whilst sat opposite Adil Ray is they here the epitome of the boomer that destroyed the society for the rest of us. That destroyed the society for the rest of us. And then when people decided that they didn't want to take it anymore, they decided to get political, then just call them all Nazis. Right? Try and use their own dead family members against them. Say that you're pissing on their graves. Haven't you guys pissed on their graves more than anybody with your political initiatives? I'm sorry, they didn't fight They didn't fight for anybody to steal anybody's kid because they wouldn't affirm their made-up gender or whatever. They didn't fight, for trans rights and all of this stuff. I'm sorry, look at Britain's society the way it was at that time. They didn't fight for trans rights. They didn't fight for gay marriage, right? They didn't fight for the liberalness, many of them having the grievances that they actually lost the Christian society, which they held dear a lot of the time. So again, it's not our fault that you guys ruined everything. It's not our fault that you guys ruined their sacrifice, literally seemingly from the moment World War II ended. Always boomers. Always boomers. And he was Jewish ex-army, which is so ironic. Yeah, the other guy as well. The guy said beating Hitler wasn't worth it, and he was a Jew. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. Right? And the people, I can't tell if it's a satirical post on X some of the time. The post that keeps coming up on my timeline every now and again, it's like, I'm a Jew, and I feel infinitely safer with like one of the right wingers that's like kill, rape Jews 420, 24/7, whatever it is, as they handle, than the lefty open border suicidal maniacs. But obviously, a lot of the orgs, run by those people you're not allowed to say and stuff like that, right? There is that whole thing, which all this stuff is like massively interconnected. It was mad how a lot of people say, I'm Jews and I feel so much safer with the supposed Nazis than I do with the massively compassionate open border lefties. I can't tell sometime whether it's a joke post, because you don't know what. It's a big thing that come up in Steve Law's conversation with Andrew Gold as well, because he seems so extreme. People take everything he says so seriously and so literally. And he's like, sometimes I just say things for a joke. He just, biggest thing is, you see a lot of these people, they're just regular people, But yeah, Alec Penstone and the other guy as well, who I covered on the podcast. Literally, I think it was the last episode of the year I'd done, where he said, this a Jewish ex-army said that killing Hitler wasn't worth it. It was absolutely nuts.
Men in my family died in the war, and you are traitors to them. Oh. Well, that's good, because I have a lot of respect for you, so I don't care.
You obviously do. You obviously do.
Bye-bye then. I said it was you guys who gave us the mask mandates. You guys mandated vaccines. You guys enforced social distancing. You guys grassed up your neighbors for gatherings. It was you guys that gave us the fascist state. So bye-bye. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. Or even better, do. It'll be funny.
Nazi. 2500175 Crossman Coveney. All right, check it out. You can put that anywhere the fuck you want. We don't want illegal immigrants coming in and raping our kids. I ain't got a problem with anyone that's here legally. It's the illegals we don't want here. How can you monitor them? He stood there.
Yeah, such a Nazi. He only wants the illegals gone. He's perfectly okay with what many would say is not an extreme enough position. Many people advocating for remigration, advocating for the removal of people that have spent several generations here, right? This guy doesn't seem to share that opinion. So that's what you're seeing. You have a diaspora of opinion with people who are showing up with the same organization and same protest because they understand, at least to some regard, they have a shared goal, right? And it's all organic. That's the thing. This guy, I'm not going to say anything about this guy, even though you could say he's an easy target for the left to have a field day with. But we saw what happened with that guy that said Muslimic rape gangs in the EDL about 10, 20 years ago, however long it was, about 15 years ago. I can't remember exactly when. Classic thing, skinhead, young guy, not able to speak himself properly, not very articulate. And everybody in mainstream media, liberal press, rinsed him. And he was completely right. He was completely right, completely vindicated. And he's owed a massive apology. Obviously, you'd never get it. Pardon me. I don't even know if he's still here. I don't even know if he's one of the targets that maybe they went around and done something with him. I don't actually know. But you guys know the clip. He says that these Muslimic rape gangs going around targeting kids, right? And that's what obviously they were protesting with. But because he spoke, because he had a slight slur to his voice, because he wasn't very illiterate and very articulate, the liberal elite class had a field day with it. Many comedians had a field day with it. It's absolutely disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Boomer Waffen. State media, state and media against political opponents too. Yep, exactly. Legal also. Exactly. Legals need to go. And that's where, again, you're seeing here. And the biggest thing is about the right. They can have this conversation, right? I think most people now are leaning towards the center. There needs to be, you know, to what extent you go to, right? Even Steve said, you know, to what extent you go to, that can sort of be negotiated, that can be debated, you know, but there's no argument that you say that legal immigration has not been the biggest damaging vector, far more than illegal immigration, you know, illegal immigration being the drop in the bucket, right? So it's a case of here, you're seeing this kind of diaspora of opinion, which you can have on the right, but everybody needs to be singing from the exact same hymn sheet on the left. And if there's any discordance there, they'll get you know, castigated out. And then they wonder why they end up, you know, possibly becoming right-wingers and stuff like that, only for cheap labor. Yeah, I know. That's why the companies love it. That's what people don't understand, is that the companies love cheap, illegally imported labor. Deliveroo loves the migrant hotels. You know, these places and all other ones, not just Deliveroo specifically. I shouldn't have said any names, really. So maybe I'll even cut this bit. I don't know. But, you know, big corporations love the cheap illegal labor because it drives down wages, allows them to make more profits. You know? Yeah, Muslimic Reygams, yeah. Heard a stupid job. Exactly. And he was completely right. Come from areas like mine. You got people around areas like mine that are not the most articulate, don't speak the best and stuff like that, right? But it matters what he said, and it matters the claims and the evidence that he had, and he was true. It's true. Yeah, H-1B Elon. Yeah, I know. He said about the H-1B visas, and then Vivek Ramaswamy called all the Americans stupid, and fair to say, you know, rubbed a lot of people up the wrong way. Yeah, other delivery services as well. All of them. Not just Deliveroo, not just Uber Eats, all of them. So maybe I should have just said the one, because maybe I'll only start getting sued by the one now. I've opened myself up for all of them, but oh well. There's always a risk anyway.
No, he stood. I'm pointing to upstairs. Come on, my friend. It was my that one there. It was my friend. My cousin.
Oh, you cunt! No, don't push me like that. Don't push me like that, right? They just tried to attack him. All right? Back off. Get away.
You guys get through to the event.
Right, he's coming through to the event. You should be doing it. Police officer.
That's the thing there. You just wish there was a camera. Before this happened, so before the scuffle, you just wished there was a camera in that area. You just doubled down and called them all out. Yeah, exactly. It'd be like, it's not just one company, it's all of you. It's all of you. So, yeah, in this instance here, because you're seeing here, the only camera angle we seem to have, at least so far, maybe we'll see one a little bit later, is the camera going here. Yeah, there's Steve. So it seems that somebody seems to have either attacked Steve or someone in Steve's group, or whoever's there. Probably Steve, because he's probably the most high-profile target from what I saw in that frame. And somebody seems to have tried to attack him, and that's what has caused this guy to react. And then because he reacted defending Steve, in this instance, what it seems like, we don't actually have the camera angle there from there that would give us a better view, sadly, then the police have gone and confronted him, and you can see why somebody would be irate about that. Again, pushing and shoving police, not the smartest thing to do, obviously, and it's something you never, ever want to see, but it's not his fault in this instance that the police were slow to react, and it could have ended up with one of them getting seriously hurt or worse. So I'll just play that clip again.
My cousin.
Oh, you cunt!
So yeah, all we see is this confrontation with the police. That's all we see. So again, somebody here with a face covering, not ideal optics. But again, what matters is what they say, and what matters is the political initiative, right? That's what matters. And so you're seeing here, it seems then that is when he got attacked is when he starts to retaliate against the police, because it seems that they were slow to react, and it was on this guy's responsibility here to defend Steve or whoever was going to be attacked.
No, don't push me like that. Don't push me like that, right? They just tried to attack him. All right? Back off. Get away.
You guys get through to the event.
Right, he's coming through to the event.
Now, I'm not a police officer, I would think you just had a report that somebody tried to attack whoever was there. Now, surely at that point, you would create a radius around that person and you would create a barrier, because there's about 3 or 4 officers here, as kind of like a defensive line between you, between the one group and the other, right? Maybe then you could have be like, look, I'm part of that group, you know, if somebody gets caught on the outside. Maybe they just stay on the outside for a bit until the whole tension dies down, right? But the officers at that point, at least what I would say, is their duty to protect and serve, right? British citizens, protect and serve whoever's there, right? Obviously it means protect and serve government interests now, at least in my opinion it does. They should form a block around that group to stop them from getting attacked. They didn't do that. The guy had to take it into his matters and push the other guy away. Then they got involved to further badger this guy again, who was defending Steve, seemingly. So yeah, thank you, Inquisitor. I appreciate giving me an out. Appreciate that. We'll see what happens. I'm obviously not very popular, so I would imagine anything's going to happen. But who knows? Could obviously. You know. But yeah, I've already said on, you know, many X posts and stuff like that, on many videos, you shouldn't be using these services and stuff like that because of that exact reason. So it's a case of, you know, they said after, I think it was Labour that said at least they were going to clamp down on illegal, you know, working and stuff like that, that a lot of these delivery companies, again, who shall henceforth remain nameless, said that, well, we're going to have to increase our prices. Because, you mean you're going to have to pay people more? You're going to have to actually pay, you know, at the very least at the moment, British citizens, a livable wage. And, you might not have enough. Sorry, I should play the video. You might not have enough, you know, exactly for like a super yacht at the end of the year. You know, you maybe just got to make do with a regular size yacht. Diddums.
Don't grab me like that. Do not grab me like that.
My guys all together.
Right, this way.
Bring them through. Come through, guys. Come through.
Steve, remarkably calm so far, given everything. He was just being attacked and a guy just pointed and laughed in his face. Steve, remarkably calm so far. That's the thing. He laughed, right? He was laughing. I think that was provocative, right? But then you see him holding the bloody Aryan front banner later, and you got to ask yourself some questions, being like, was this a joke? Was it not? It's kind of like, you know, the lines getting blurred. You know what I mean? I think that was a joke and deliberately provocative, right? To piss these people off. Right, because he's fired up, he's angry, he's had to get physically involved, obviously blood's flowing, he's in a state of fight or flight, and at the same time he's like, I'm going to give a fuck you. I'm going to give a fuck you and have a bit of a bit of fun at your expense. I see a lot of people doing that, but yeah, seeming quite jolly, in fairness. He's been a good leader, looking out for his people, keeping them together. Yeah, exactly. Has to be said, absolutely, because this is you know, it's not like Dunkirk or anything like that, but these are the battlegrounds which are going to be winning the day in the modern day. You know what I mean? I think I said after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, one of the biggest grounds that need to be won is the education system, which is why I appreciate things like Public Child Protection Wales and a lot of the initiatives are going through with them. Because I think one of the big reasons why Charlie was killed, whatever, you know, person or people were behind it, right? And people are speculating a lot of different things, right? Done what the fuck to believe. At this point so far, you know, it does seem that at the very least, maybe, you know, Tyler Robinson has at least been charged for it. Has he been convicted for it? I can't remember at the present time. But one of the biggest things that was threatening because he was threatening the very foundations of the regime. He was threatening the education system. That's why Charlie had such a massive target on his back. At least I think far bigger than anybody else, right? You had Stephen Crowder that sort of, at first, at least as far as I'm aware, normalised the change my mind kind of thing, sitting down at the table on all these different issues, right? But he was doing it out in public. Charlie then took it into the school system. And that is where the government and the tyrannical leaders know the sensitive minds are that they need generation on generation to continue the revolution, to continue the regime. If they were to win those minds, their regime, their system would collapse from the bottom because it would have no foundation anymore. That is why he had such a massive, in particular, target on his back. And obviously the young people, some of the most radicalized people, easily radicalized people as well, you know, they're going to be the ones that they'll snap and they won't think, you know, logically about a lot of things, you know. If it was Tyler Robinson and he ended up, shooting Charlie Kirk and whatever else was going on, right? A lot of people have speculated about all these different things, right? Involvements of certain other countries and whatever. Who knows? Because the FBI's reputation is in the gutter. Kash Patel's reputation is in the gutter because of the whole Epstein thing, right? Apparently there were no Epstein files and Epstein killed himself. And, oh, no, there are Epstein files. And maybe there was even a fake dead body. Come on, right? Yeah, maybe put in one of those. I think I said it at the time. gonna tell my kids this is who's on the phone tend to be, you know, Microsoft tech support or something like that. You know what I mean? But because he was making such powerful inroads, that's why he was done away with. And but you see here, it doesn't matter at this point. The left knows that they are massively losing it to an organic force that is rising up. It's just concerned parents, concerned families, all of these things that are saying enough is enough, and they know they're losing the culture. It's the thing. The biggest thing that they had is that they were losing the culture. They had to make the argument before that the culture was oppressive. You know, Judeo-Christian or the Christian norms that we had, right? I don't really like that term Judeo-Christian anymore. I got to be honest. But, you know, whatever terms you want to use, they didn't like that foundation of societies. That's why you had Kinsey, whose whole thing was to uproot those norms with regards to sexuality and those kinds of things. It's been a concerted effort to change the culture. But now they're realizing, by the fruits you will know them. And people are realizing the damage that it's done. And they're actually not on board with a lot of this stuff. And they're realizing that a lot of stuff was never what it chalked up to be anyway. So they're losing the culture, and they realize it, which is really the only thing that they had to go on. They had to go on. It really could become a literal battleground. Yeah, I talked about that with Fernie. He said one of the demonstrations that he went to, it was literally a case of you had bottles being thrown back and forth. You had, you know, literal, you know, projectiles and shit like that. You know what I mean? It can get ugly. It can get ugly. And then police will shepherd protesters to these events. Police will literally bring them to it. Now, at the same time, police got to look out for themselves when these things do happen. But at the same time, they'll bring the agitating force to the protest and then be like, oh, why are they defending themselves? It's like, it's disgusting. Need to be more surgical, like migrant hotels. Yeah, I think that's what made Epping so effective as well. That's one of the things that made Epping so effective. Need to be a little bit more surgical. You know what I mean? People feel like protesting isn't working. These demos will become real nasty. They will. You back an animal into a corner. Well, you only have yourself to blame when it, you know, inevitably goes in, you know, a certain direction. Hey, I see that now. Did you see that? See how clinical this was. This is where you got to understand. For all of these things we say about these people being stupid and their political initiatives being stupid and, oh, they can't even tell what a woman is. So that guy. Did you see how that guy just quickly saw a gap and inserted himself in to try and separate? Because they know what will happen. If they try and go in a group, they understand it's a lot more threatening. They try to deliberately isolate this guy. They tried to deliberately isolate this guy, likely so they could do him harm, because then it's just like 10-on-1 or whatever it is. That's just disgusting. That's just absolutely disgusting. Have a look at this again. You'll see him slip in. Ready? He sends Steve through. Boom, just slips in. He's fucking attacking me! You're not stopping me! What? Now that's disgusting. That's important context we didn't see before. That the guy literally inserted in, blocked his way, and obviously what are you going to do at this point? You're surrounded by police and you're surrounded by other protesters, and one of them, who you know is on the opposition side, has just blocked you from the rest of your people. That is literally an animal being backed into a corner. I'm not calling this guy an animal as an insult, but literally you can't expect him to just be like, oh, okay, well, this is okay. Of course he's going to fight. How does he know that this guy isn't armed? How does he know that this guy has, you know, all it's got to be is just he takes it out of his pocket, bang. And it could be a shiv, it could be anything. God knows what it is, right? Yeah, he was more surgical, yeah. But that's the thing. This thing. We're not dealing with people who are not smart in that way. At least some of them, as we saw here. This guy saw a gap in about a second and took it. And it could have ended very badly. Because as you saw, the minute he reacted, pushed him out of the way, and luckily the guy who walked through before him saw what was happening and reached back, right? So if something would have happened, you would have had Steve and the rest of the guys likely jumping in anyway, right? So it wouldn't have been a case that they would have had to jump on this guy for long. It's where you're seeing they were moving like a cohesive unit, which was really good to see, right? This could have gone really, really badly here. So I don't blame this guy at all. And you saw then that the police immediately, he reacted, and then they immediately jumped in on him. It's like, why were you so slow to react? Why was one of you not watching the counter-protesters? Right? Again, maybe you could say mistakes can happen, all right? That's the biggest thing that I can say, oh, well, mistakes happen. But we've seen how corrupted the police are. Are we really going to start giving them the benefit of the doubt? Yeah. Isolating him. Exactly. Exactly. Divide and conquer. That's what it was. Divide and conquer. Pass the cordon, and like, and the police just let him. Yeah. Yeah, it's just... So a lot of us want to support the police. A lot of us want to think they're doing good work, but nobody has been more destructive for their reputation than them. The rape gang scandal exposed that.
Right, officer, let me come and talk to you, sir. Let's go over there and talk to you.
Got a message, they were coming through, went over there to get them through, they started being attacked, one of your officers pretty much slamming his wall, got in my face, swore at me, right, I'm not bothered about that, but I'm not having it, we're trying to get people through.
Okay, well, at the minute, just so we can keep the parties apart, if people want to come round, what we'll do is we'll get them to come round my way.
You're unprofessional. You're pathetic. We're trying to calm yourself down. We're trying to allow. He pushed me, and I ain't even done nothing.
Because there's people pushing him as well.
Oh, right.
So he's got to find some space to get people out of the way, hasn't he?
Oh, boo fucking who?
Hey, we've been compliant. I've been compliant to allow people through.
I can't help but notice, though, you didn't push the big guy out the way before, and you didn't push him out the way the second time. And I would say that it's not probably even just the second time that he's done it. He probably done this, as you mentioned, whoever it was in the chat, I can't remember. This guy seemed to be agitating all throughout the day. Why had police not made a note of this? Surely one of them would have noticed and went, hang on, he was in the scuffle before. I'm going to keep my eye on him. Then probably one of them would have seen that he deliberately slipped himself in and tried to isolate that guy. And that is an act of instigation. That is an act of instigation. That's a very, very hostile and provocative act. So then you could have acted a little bit quicker. But no, you end up then, when the guy had to react for his own safety, you end up slamming him against the wall and seemingly affecting this older gentleman as well that really had nothing to do with it. This guy in the middle, this young kid here, he's like, wow, this footage is fucking great. He's like... I'm not taking the mick out of you guy. I appreciate you being there. Hopefully your footage will come out as well if you're able to share it or whatever. But yeah, that's the thing. You know that the one side is there deliberately to provoke. Sorry. Oh, shit. The one side is there to provoke. The other side is there to speak. The other side is there to speak. It's like... police not doing themselves any favours here either. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to facilitate a peaceful process.
Yeah, he pushed me for no reason. I haven't even moved. I've been leaning on this for about an hour. And he shot me really hard. I'm just saying, do that again. Fuck you.
They got stabbed to death. The treatment, social violence is often committed by men.
What about the volunteer that got stabbed in Birmingham by a migrant? What about that?
Let's quite interesting. That same guy who, from the cuts before, we would have maybe seen that he was potentially being an agitator, the guy that we now seen has defended himself, seems to be in this instance, right, come down, sit. Seems to be in this instance trying to calm the other guy down, right? Seems to be in this instance trying to calm the other guy down. So, you know, you're seeing all different kinds of, you know, elements of character here, I suppose. But the one side, in this instance, seemingly just wanted to turn up and speak. But obviously, there's people, because this is a concerted political initiative on behalf of very wealthy and very powerful people, that need to try and stifle people from speaking at every single turn, because God forbid they win hearts and minds. The only thing that just regular people have on their side is numbers. Right? The only thing that really we have as just regular people would be if we all unite together as one big massive force, right? I liken it to like a zombie apocalypse. You look at DayZ, for example, you know, when the zombies are all clambering up on top of each other, and that's how then they can get over the wall, and that's how then they can wreak havoc inside the settlement or whatever. You know, the only thing that they have really is their numbers, right? In the case of the military, if something really bad was to happen, it's the case of the military is what, like 180,000 if you take everything all together, I think, at the moment. You're talking about a force, if you will, if just taking into account all the men, like probably in the range of about 30 to 40 million, just talking about like native, you know, like native Brits and that. Right, I'm going to have to stop her from doing so in a minute. She's tearing something apart she's not supposed to have. Bear with me 2 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Please just bear with me. All right, sorry guys, I forgot where I got to because she decided she was going to start chewing all seven shades of shit out of a plastic ball. And I didn't want to choke in on any of it. But yeah, this is the thing. It's easy to paint people as all these different things, but you're seeing many different people wearing many different hats on this protest, you know what I mean? So not paint anybody, you know, unfairly based on these little clips and stuff like that. And obviously this is just the unrest. This is just the unrest. So the fact the speakers were able to speak, and I'll probably cover this on a VOTV, probably. I'll probably cover this on the next podcast or whatever, some of the things that were said and stuff like that. But yeah, naughty doggy indeed. Naughty doggy indeed.
I'll put it them fuckers. You know me? You know me?
Say, Wayne Rooney's aged well.
Sir, please.
This is a meter, officer.
No, I'm asking you to step back a metre now.
Why? I'm behind the police cordon.
I'm asking you politely.
And I'm behind the police cordon.
Sir.
I'm behind the police cordon.
Have I been reasonable with your
You have got right. Okay. Why? Who cares?
Needless agitation, I think, in that. Needless agitation. Remember when I said, even when he's behind the police cordon, which fair enough, that's the cordon that they've laid out. But you could say that the officer in this instance, this seems to be one of the officers, the old guy, remember, that we said was being fair, said to seemingly being fair. He's made a polite request. You could say that the guy is maybe free to ignore it, but at this point, it's like you're needlessly creating an enemy, I would say. That's the way that I see this anyway. Now, tempers are flaring, right? You want to be as close to things as possible in case something goes off, maybe. Who knows, right? I understand it. I'm not armchair. I'm not trying to armchair general or anything like that, or armchair quarterback, as is also known in America. Whatever term you want to use, right? But it's a case of you don't want to needlessly make enemies. You don't needlessly make enemies. I don't think the officer's request in this instance was too unreasonable. It's like saying, please, can you just take a step back? You know, can you just take a meter back, just for maybe just my own peace of mind? You know what I mean? He could have maybe said that. Be like, please, can you just do me a favor? You know, work with me, I'll work with you. Maybe there's better ways you could have phrased it, but you know, needlessly creating an enemy, in my opinion.
Sir, please.
This is a meter, officer.
No, I'm asking you to step back a metre now.
Why? I'm behind the police cordon.
I'm asking you politely.
And I'm behind the police cordon.
Sir.
I'm behind the police cordon.
Have I been reasonable with your
You have got right.
Okay.
Why? Who cares? We've got our own problems. Why do we need more problems? What's that?
Our streets! Our streets! Our streets!
Some of you have driven 1, 2, 3 hours to get here. Haven't you got better things to be doing on a Saturday morning?
Tells you a lot. He's saying, haven't you got better things to do than be there? A lot of these people are doing it on their own time, on their own dime. And you got better things to do than being a paid subversive for your own nation. And they're better causes that you could be supporting. There's a lot. Haven't you got better things to do? These guys are the ones paying the taxes to support the people you want to come here. A lot of these people, tradesmen, self-employed painters, home decorators, Callum, Lion of Epping, graphic designer. A lot of people maybe have their own businesses, their own things to take care of, and their own families. Provides a lot of motivation, doesn't it? You don't want to lose those things. You don't want to lose those things. And if it's a true demonstration of something that's actually going to bring about the change that they seek, why wouldn't you? Again, it's just another thing. Don't you have better things to be doing? Wouldn't say that to say, you know, the soldiers going across to Normandy, would you? But yet, we're both in battles for Britain all the same. Or at least if the conventional narrative towards World War II is to be believed. Which, I have to say, I have been questioning more and more. Simply because I know that there's an entire side of history that's never been explained to me and that has been purposely kept from me for political purposes. Not saying that I necessarily instantly don't believe everything that I've been taught or instantly believe the new information, but it's certainly refreshing and it's certainly interesting hearing from different perspectives on history that are presented entirely different, but yet seemingly, from what I understand, well, based on factual accounts from what I can understand, and coming to very, very different conclusions. It's why that dialogue is so important. Because if you know that things have been deliberately kept from you, and you know that it's been deliberately kept from you to further political initiatives, why wouldn't you ask those questions? Doesn't mean you instantly believe everything that new information is going to bring, right? But you get to do your investigation, and that is very, very interesting. There's a lot of other perspectives out there which are very interesting to listen to.
Whoa, what's that?
Chat. Ad was going to come at some point, right? At least we're on the winning team, so all the propaganda goes in our favor. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Homosexual malcontent.
Yeah, kindness. Sometimes it's good to tell people what they don't want to hear, but what they may need to hear, because they need to hear it, and it's good that they do hear it, even if they don't like it. What these people often mean is niceness, all right? And that you can be nice to people, but that's not always kind. You know, I mean, it's not always the kind thing to do. If you need to tell someone, you know, if you need to give them a reality check, that's not a nice thing to do, but it is one of the kindest things that you can do if you know that they need it. You know, if you're somebody that's going through a big drug addiction or something like that, there's a good chance you're not going to get them out of that by being nice to them and just fluffing their, you know, fluffing them, for lack of a better term, all the time and saying that they don't have problems. You've got to give them a reality check. That's not necessarily a nice thing to do. Kindness equals yes. Yes, exactly. Exactly, Mr. Perspective. Absolutely. It's tolerance and all of these things that led to, you know, the atrocities that we've seen in Britain, because those were happening ever since those people got here, all the way back in the 50s. So, yeah, kindness, not going to solve the problems. Kindness is not going to solve the problem whatsoever. Part of their culture, don't you know? Yeah, well, to be fair, the Greens... Oh, shit. I think my microphone cut out for a moment. There we go. Well, the Greens want to legalize all drugs, don't they? So, again, you don't want to say to people that they might have problems and stuff like that. You don't want to say things they don't want to hear, but that's not a kind thing to do. Says with Shetty Fights, I'd be wrong to prevent them from expressing themselves. Yeah, exactly. It's so unkind, such an unnice thing to do. How dare you? How dare you interrupt, you know, the machete-based interpretive dance, Mr. Inquisitor? How dare you?
Can you all hear me okay? Hello, Warwick? People have come out to see us today. Alright, so we are here today to protest against the housing of illegal migrants in Warwick.
I will say, I don't know if it's just the audio or if it's the actual equipment themselves, that it's quite difficult to hear. But what Laura should have done, you know the Hulk Hogan, you know, God rest his soul, the whole thing where he leans in and does that, you know, where he does that, you know, the whole thing where, he does his flex thing, but you know, he does the whole thing where, like, you know, listening to the crowd. I think that's what Laura should have done in this scenario. Pulled the full Hulk Hogan and really lent into it. You know, really lent into that. I can't hear you. Come on. It's on a train to Leeds, almost the same one as a stabbing last year in November. Surrenders, man. Surrenders. But don't you think of interrupting? No, it'd be like the case of the bus driver who he stopped somebody from fighting, I think it was, or trying to mug someone, and he ended up getting arrested. I think it was in France. Jeez, nicked the plastic ball again. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Say, I would let you have it because it's your birthday, but I can't because little bits will come off it and you'll choke on it. Or you'll cut your mouth or something. I can't, I'm sorry. Was the banner drop for HLP? They're right, not too bad. Good. Why do you think these people support immigration to this land? They've just been ideologically indoctrinated, I think. You know, when you get a population to support its own minoritization and ethnic replacement, it speaks for itself. I think it's just complete ideological indoctrination. Some of these people, I think, will be paid. Some of these people are just paid to be there. They might not even believe in the cause. They're just paid to be there. But some of them, they're just so ideologically indoctrinated and hell bent on their own liberalism. For a lot of the women, I think it's the maternal instinct running wild for this globalist baby. But yeah, I think that's what's going on. For bus driver, in my opinion, should have done a citizen's arrest. Not sure on French law. Yeah, it was a bus driver in France. I think he restrained someone and he ended up getting arrested and charged with assault, I think it was. Kind of like as far as I'm aware, not the exact same situation as Daniel Penny. As far as I'm aware, nobody died. But again, just restraining somebody and then he ended up getting arrested. It's like you intervene in something and you wonder why people don't intervene anymore because they know they're going to get arrested. It's not the criminal that's the problem in the eyes of the state. It's the people that do something about it.
We are here today to protest against the housing of illegal migrants in Warwick.
Get out of here! You don't live here! Yeah, anytime, mate! Why don't we just tell us we want to the library?
How quickly that guy changed when he was out of it. So he went from seemingly like having this physical altercation with someone. I can only assume that this guy was on like the sort of lefty side opposed to the demonstrators there from Patriotic Alternative. You're living in anarchist tyranny. Yep, absolutely. So we're having these conversations in Wales, but nobody was concerned when we were 3 million to 40 to 45 million English. Yeah, I know. What concerns me... demographics, yeah. What concerns me at the moment, I'd say even more than that. So I think we're facing a united threat. I think everybody can see that. Even the whole thing where you see the Northern Irish and the Irish coming together, you see the Ulster banner and the tricolour flying side by side at some of these demonstrations, you know, it's completely nuts. The fact there's more Muslims in the UK than there are Welsh people, I think that's terrifying. I think that's absolutely terrifying. But look how quickly this guy changed now.
Get out of here! You don't live here! Yeah, anytime, mate.
So anytime, mate, seemingly offering him on for some kind of physical altercation, right? And then... Are you right? How quickly things change, man. Refugees are welcome here, just not in my student accommodation or my house or my flat.
And despised minority for the big rotten, anti-white, multicultural society. Where is their condition and their willing stooges?
And this is the direct consequence of a multicultural society. Chris Minns, the Member of Parliament in Australia, said that. He said, we don't have the free speech laws that they have in the US because we're trying to preserve a multicultural society. It's a shame that the multicultural societies and the principle that people hold dear in these regards are completely incompatible with each other. They've just chosen one over the other. The government has chosen their society because they want the imported voters. They want the tyranny over you. That's what people need to understand. That's what people need to understand. But yeah, just this is where I hate it so much, that obviously you got the noise, and then it seems that in this instance you had like maybe a little bit of faulty equipment or just underpowered equipment, which granted, obviously Mark and Laura have both been debanked. As far as I know, Mark's not allowed to have a bank account in the UK, right? Mark's not allowed to have a bank account in the UK and has to, you know, I don't know what means that he has in that regard. He's banned from going to like 20 odd countries or whatever it is, completely spurious circumstances as far as I know. You know, there might not be the case of where they can make those, you know, they can afford massive setups and stuff like that, not to mention the permission, the government or whatever, they might have had to clear this, might not have been given the permission and stuff like that. So it's just a shame that in this is you can't really hear him that well, because he is, from what I understand, when you actually get him talking and you hear him speaking like in an interview podcast conversation, really, really articulate and educated guy, which is a shame that you can't really hear that coming across. Obviously, a slightly different scenario because it's more emotionally driven protest as well, but it's a shame that you can't really hear it because he does seem like a really, really articulate guy. See in there, Steve was trying to talk and there was just nothing coming through. And Steve is one of the people you want to hear talk, I think, pretty much more than anybody at the moment, you know, with his profile would be on Liam Tufts, Andrew Gold, etc. It's a shame, at least in this, maybe it's the audio in this video, who knows, but it does seem this picked up the audio pretty well everywhere else. So it's a shame that, you know, in this regard, that you can't really hear what Steve was saying. They say Warwick doesn't want you here, but these people are busting for outside, so who are they to speak? Who are they to speak for Warwick? And they go on about face coverings on the opposite side, yet you're seeing here they have the state-mandated garment of the mask on their side as well. So again, I understand the left is nothing if not hypocritical, right?
Say it loud, say it clear!
Hail victory! Hail the migrants! Hail the migrants!
Anti-facts, isn't it? They're all gone now, we're to go. Yeah, exactly.
1488!
When you're saying things then like hail the white race and you're holding this banner up and stuff like that, it's like, again, it's an easy optical victory. It's an easy optical victory for people that are not on this side. The people in the middle whom you're trying to win, there's a good chance you may end up losing a fair amount of those people when they hear things like that. So, again, maybe, you know, that's not necessarily a knock or anything like that. It's not punching right. It's not attacking allies or anything like that. At least I hope it doesn't come across that way. But it's just like, you know, the right, especially with how entrenched the left is in the media, with how entrenched the left-wing initiatives are now in the public consciousness, right? Like Orwell talks about, the lie transcends through history, becomes the truth, right? You're dealing with massively entrenched ideological constructs in this thing. So you just got to be, you know, make sure you're trying to always put your best foot forward every single time. Allahu Akbar, yeah, I know. Aryan front, sus feds, bad optics. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. And I don't think me saying that will constitute as attacking allies or punching right or anything like that. It's just not optics. It is optics. It's not the optics that you want necessarily, at least from, in my opinion anyway, with gauging how just a regular person is going to react. So, again, that's not an excuse necessarily to, like, compromise on, like, actual political initiatives and stuff like that. It would just be a thing of, again, how do you represent that?
Bring questions in later on in court, and if you do say, maybe give an evidence, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, the reason is you've got a breach of a court order. Keep still. Listen. Keep still. Relax.
Okay, just relax.
Make it a habit. A 10.
Go away, ad. Nobody wants to see a stupid ad. And there we go. There we go. That's just some stuff that's coming up in my YouTube now. So that was the end of that. So finished off with that guy getting arrested. And that's the thing. The many people on the right at this point they could literally do nothing in this regard and would still get arrested. Right. So again, this is the thing. I think Callum has gone into the chat as well and also provided more images on what was going on. So oh, here we go. I think we've actually got a different camera angle. Somebody posted this on X. I think we might have a different camera angle. Let's see what we can get from this. So bring this up on screen in a moment. We've actually got a slightly different camera angle of apparently Steve getting attacked. So maybe we can actually see what was going on, and then I'll have to call this there for tonight. Appreciate everybody for coming out tonight. Thank you all so much. Let's just see what's going on here.
Get the fuck out of Warren!
Oh, can't see fuck all.
I can't tell if they're friends or not. Is this a joke?
Right, that's the same bits that we've seen. This is where he's in an altercation with the police.
You can't let us get through to this event or what?
Ryan,
Camera guy dropping the ball, but watch now. You're seeing here how premeditated this was. This is Steve's group coming around the corner with the Remigration Now flag. There he is. There's the guy. There's the instigator right there. So you can see clearly here, he's running up and quite clearly with the intention of instigating and causing disturbance and potentially even attacking them or whatever in the group. Obviously the guy, whoever's recording this video, not bloody cameraman, man. Can't get any of them nowadays. But yeah, quite clearly running up here to get in the group and cause disturbance. Somebody should do one of those, what are they, what's the YouTuber's name? Lil Board. You know Lil Board, he has the funny sound effects when people like running or making faces or whatever. Should add like the little like, I don't know, like earthquakey sound effects of like running up in this video.
Get the fuck out of Warwick!
Now, the person who shouted that sounded like they shouted it right close to the microphone. It sounded like it was the cameraman that shouted that. But again, I'm like, if you know that he's running that way, why are you not pointing your camera in that bloody direction? And not to mention then, you get a little bit further into the clip. It's like, great. I got a lovely view of this guy's jacket. It's great. Obviously, I'm not knocking the guy. Obviously, he might not know or whatever. It's easy to critique when you're in a, your lovely heated living room or dining room like I am right now. So I'm not knocking that, but it's just like, come on. The perspective would have been lovely to really see what was going on. But we'll let this clip play out. It's only 2 minutes.
Oh. I can't tell if they're friends or not. Is this a joke?
Mate, they just tried to attack you. Right?
You won't let us get through to this event, or what?
Right,
Ryan,
through to the event. You should be doing it as police officer. Oh, you get beat up. Don't grab me like that. Do not grab me like that.
My guys all together.
Right, this way. This getting through.
Come through, guys. Come through.
Well, it has to be said, look, they're grabbing him here. Right, they're grabbing the left side here, kind of like a upper seam on his jacket, right? But they can grab him like that now, right? Surely you can, guide them properly through to the protest area. That guy, you've seen what he looks like. Surely you've seen him run up. Surely you've seen him run up. You know what he looks like. You know he's there to agitate. It makes it even more damning for the police when you see that guy was able to slip in again and damn near isolate this guy and very well could have caused him harm. Probably pointing at the action but isn't looking at this. That's very true. That's very, very true. That's why I'm not meaning it in any derogatory way. It's more so for like a comedic effect and everything like that. But it's in this instance, it's good to have this additional camera angle. This is somebody that's quite clearly in the group. You know what I mean? So who knows? It could be that kid's iPhone. But we'll just quickly skip it on a little bit and just see what's going on.
Come through, guys. Come through. Come through.
Nazi scum! Off our street! Nazi scum! Off our street! Nazi scum! Off our street! Nazi scum! Off our street!
Steve. So the interaction there had already happened. This guy obviously got left the back of the pack when this was going on. So we'll skip it through. This is long after this guy has slipped in because now he's being harassed by police. So we'll just keep skipping it on, see if there's anything of note, really. Oh, seems like we've got a close-up of some of the lefties that were closing in. Give you an idea of how close this really was, right? This is where seemingly the lefties were closing in on them. Again, you're going to have a heightened emotional state in this regard, right?
Off our street! Nazi scum! 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 Nazi scum! Off our street! Nazi scum!
Who will let bloody Harley Quinn out the asylum? For God's sake.
Off our street! Nazi scum! Off our street! Nazi scum! Off our street! Nazi scum! Off our street!
I'm with them, I'm with them. He needs to get out.
Let me come and talk to you, sir. Right, I was letting...
So many faces.
What did you after, sir? Right. Got a message. They were coming through. Yeah. Went over there to get them through. They started being attacked. One of your officers.
It'll go. It fucking will go now. I knew they'd start.
You're on, Rob. Yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to get much from this. You're right. Yeah, okay, that's the end of that. So, good to see that initial thing that we would never have known that guy ran up before, right? Clearly with some kind of, agenda at play. It really just shows the police that, she was, it was a girl that posted the videos, that's where I got that from. Police in a really, really bad light again. Because again, that guy was able to interfere with the demo, multiple times. And like I said, it wasn't just a case of he was in a group and it was group on group. He deliberately tried to isolate the one guy. And yeah, that obviously could have ended very, very badly. Dyed hair detected. Yep. Yeah, I know. It's very, very sad. Very, very sad that basically a lot of the times will tell you all you need to know. We'll just see if we've got any other camera perspectives of it. So this is only really shorts by the looks. Oh, this looks like the young kid that was covering it. No, that was beforehand. Just seeing if there are any other videos now, maybe showing a different camera angle or whatever. Oh, that's from 2 years ago. Doesn't appear so. Doesn't appear that there was a, you know, additional camera angle, at least not that I can find so far. Unfortunate. Unfortunate, really. Because it would have been good to see it from somebody who had a really good view of what was going on. To really see, like, the scale of the attack. You know, not that it makes it any better, any more justified, anything like that, right? But just to know, like, what the guy was trying to do. Was he just trying to get close to Steve to get in his face, which can be seen as an attack, or at the very least an aggressive action? Did he actually try to lay hands on him? Just important bits of contextual information, you know what I mean? But it doesn't appear that there is, you know, doesn't appear that there's any real indication of that. There is this image as well, however, clearly showing this is the guy I believe pointed and laughed right in Steve's face. Showing him as well, not sure if it was shown in the other video, clearly running towards what we can only assume were the demonstrators, likely around the same time that or a similar time that the guy was, because obviously they were at Steve's group around the same time, right? Yeah, police probably didn't. No, police probably didn't. He could have very well been armed, you know what I mean? Could have very well been armed. Because again, we've seen that these people are not above murder, you know? So you can never be too careful. You can never be too careful out there nowadays. But yeah, if I'll have a look what I can find. And next time I sit down and do a recording, probably either Monday, maybe tomorrow, probably Monday now, I'll see if I can find anything else. But yeah, it's just a standard video compilation of the stuff that we've already seen, but we've already seen it now with all of the necessary context, or at least a lot more of it than we would have gone from the brief clips on X. So Joe, if you happen to be watching this, appreciate you sending this over to me, my friend, because it was a lot better than trying to piece it all together from the little clips that we've got. And that'll have to do it for today, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just check in with your chats just to make sure I haven't missed anything. Brownie was a good laugh. I needed that. Did he only want to punch a Nazi or do more? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So he makes the left seethe the most online. You should see his DM death threats. I can only imagine. You know what I mean? Because they're quite clearly scared. You know what I mean? So if any of you want to go back and digest that footage and go watch it in your own time as well, the clip that we just watched, the protest footage, is on that link on YouTube. So you can go find the actual clip that we just watched if you want to go back. And maybe I missed something. You know what I mean? But yeah. Quite clearly that there were people there paid to be there to instigate. And that's obviously what their whole deal is. Just got to show how rattled they are, but not only that, the apparatus that they have behind them. The guy said, don't you guys have better things to do? And they're the ones propping up the very society. The ones that are, you know, tearing society down, quite literally in many instances, are not the ones that are paying for its upkeep, quite literally. It's the ones that are the most dissatisfied. You find a lot of times that are either running away, you know, they're leaving the country because they're taking their business elsewhere because the UK is just absolutely hostile to any kind of business, you know. But the others as well, you know, just regular people working day to day You know, electricians, tradesmen, paint decorators, all of the things that these people are, right? Just good, respectable professions that are holding up society in many ways. You know, your labourers, your plasterers, people working in factories that are seeing what's going on. They're understanding where it goes. They're understanding if we tolerate this, the kids will be next. And it's do or die. It's do or die, because beyond the time where you can dig your head in the sand and pretend that nothing's going on, or just, you know, wish for better times, getting to the point now where you have to, something has to be done. You know, the minute you become a minority, that's it. It's going to exponentially increase all the more in ways that we could never imagine from there. Politicians have already been stabbed for their political beliefs. Yeah, someone say David Amos. You know, someone say David Amos and the other one as well. Oh, I can't remember her name. I'm so sorry. I can't remember her name. It's a female politician. He's got a milkshake. Many people die via political violence. HMRC bleed you dry. Exactly. Exactly. Also, they can give it to their new foreign voting bloc because they've decided they don't want the British anymore. They say they don't want those pesky, politically inconvenient British anymore. You know, the ones that are they're slowly dying out anyway because their birth rates are declining. All the while, the government's trying to facilitate that more and more and more, part of their Malthusian agenda. Try to depopulate because smaller populations are harder to control. Not only that, they're outright trying to get rid of now a politically disadvantageous voting bloc in the form of the disadvantaged and disillusioned British by literally importing in more people to vote them out, using democracy to destroy democracy. So people who say that they want to protect democracy, they want to protect their conception of democracy, which is where they have these elections, but they're rigged to win every single time because they've rigged the voting blocks win every single time, but they don't realize it's going to eat them as well. Kate Holland learned that the hard way when she facilitated a Muslim takeover of her community, Blackburn with Darwin, and then got voted out by a Muslim. They got voted out by the same Muslim bloc, and not only that, got subjected to death threats and told that she was going to be beheaded and that she worshipped a false god. And I'm like, well, you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. People at these rallies will have to take this safety very seriously because the police don't have the standards they used to. Yep, exactly. It's how damaging it is when you turn a society on its fellow man, you know? That's coming to now, it makes a lot of people uncomfortable, is that they have to, you know, take sides in ways that they never thought they would have before and didn't necessarily want to, you know. People out there that they were, people in my comments been like perfectly, you know, kind, empathetic individuals, but because they've seen that they're being demographically replaced as part of a concerted effort and a genocidal campaign, they've changed in ways that they don't like. Their personality has changed. They've hardened up. Their hearts have hardened. They don't take sob stories the same way as they do anymore. You know, they're not as empathetic and kind and everything as they once were, and they don't actually like it. You know? But that's the situation that we're in. And people can refuse to acknowledge it. People can refuse to accept it, but it doesn't change it. You know what I mean? Reading on UK law. So I have loopholes. Yeah, exactly. Still think there's plenty of reason to hope, though. Still think there's plenty of reason to hope. No, I have to leave it there. Thank you very much for tuning in. Gentlemen, I greatly appreciate you all being here. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll catch up with you probably next week now. Probably next week. We shall see. But yeah, have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, night, wherever you are. I was radicalized by the Muslimic Reagams. Yep. Yeah, me too. Learning about the scale of that and reading the court excerpts. There's nothing more radicalizing, really. Can't get across the scale of the demographic crisis to somebody and why that's a problem. Maybe you can go down the whole thing of showing them the racially and religiously motivated crimes, and that'll be a big wake-up call for a lot of them, because you can prove that they were racially and religiously motivated. Thank you for all tuning in. Perspective, Inquisitor, Ian, and everyone else that has been here tonight. Thank you all ever so much. Take care. Diolch fawr. Thank you for watching. Hwyl fawr. See you next time. And you take very good care of yourselves now. Godspeed.